and welcome to the Friday edition of the AM show. Today also happens to be the Farmers' Day, so we are doing the show to celebrate our gallant farmers. Now, we have a lot to come your way. We'll bring you the big stories. We'll start with the news review, obviously, and bring you the big stories. As we celebrate Farmers' Day, we'll share with you how some basic school pupils engaged in what they call grow what you eat. These little farmers also share with us the challenges they encountered sowing and nurturing their crops and how they overcame them. Also, the Black Stars lock horns with Uruguay today. It's a game that many have touted as a revenge game. Can Ghana cross this hurdle and qualify to the next of the competition in Qatar? What will do the magic? We hear from analysts of the game. It's critical and it's raw. You don't want to miss out on your favorite segment, Blunt Thought, titled Our Economy in Shambles, Our Agriculture in Limbo, and our MPs in Qatar. The never-ending madness we have to contend with. And what do you have to say to our gallant farmers as we dedicate this day to them? Join us with your thought on phone and on social media as you get to have your say. Stay with us. There's more to come. Up next is the AM News. So let's begin with the AM News now. And he was facing serious jail time accused of stealing, leading to the collapse of Capital Bank that left hundreds with locked up funds and even more without jobs. Atuesian, who founded the bank, had fought the charges for 3 years, insisting he's innocent. But it turned out in court on Thursday that a day before an Accra High Court would seal his fate, Mr. Atuesian managed to convince state prosecutors to accept a settlement agreement with that will see him escape jail and rather pay 30 million cedis now, 60 million cedis later. But the judge rejected the deal, slamming state prosecutors and insisting they appeared compromised. The judge was clear the settlement was simply a bad deal for all who lost monies and affected by the collapse of that bank. My colleague Kwajo Nyako was in court and has more in this report.
The presiding judge, Justice Chebafo, couldn't hide his dissatisfaction at the turn of events. He was supposed to deliver his judgment on Thursday, but he says the court was served with a document detailing an agreement reached between the state and Atuesian, the founder of Capital Bank. In the agreement, William Atuesian was to pay 30 million Ghana cedis, while the remaining amount was to be paid in 2 installments, but the judge disagreed with the settlement. He referred to Section 35 of the Court Act, which he says relates to an offence that has caused economic loss or damage to the state, but in the instant case, the funds belong to the shareholders and not the state. Justice Chebafo also stated that the offer and acceptance by the two parties based on Section 35 of the Court Act should be subject to the concurrence of the court, and in the instant case, the court does not agree to the proposed settlement between the two parties. According to the judge, even if it were agreed to the proposed settlement by the two parties, Mr. William Atuesian should be made to pay the agreed amount in the current exchange rate with interest and not paying the same amount which has devalued. He indicated that it must not be done for it to appear that the accused has outweighed the prosecution, and that will not be full restitution but a partial one. The judge wondered that after 3 years of deployment of state resources, if the accused and the Republic would come to such a settlement, then it would have been a waste of time and resources of the state. Deputy Attorney General Alfred Fianyeboa, who represented the state together with other state attorneys, says they will comply with what the court has said, but their intention was to recover the lost monies to the state.
It's within the right of the judge to either accept or reject. We're looking at Section 35, even the parties agree, it's subject to satisfaction of the court. And the judge's wisdom has realized that there's a need to look at 1 or 2 issues. So we see nothing wrong with the judge trying to assert his authority as a judge in the case.
The judge basically said that this was a bad deal. Couldn't you have gotten something better?
Oh, it's a matter of negotiation. And you know, if you're looking at a case involving an accused person and the person makes a proposal, we also look at the proposal, consider, because let's take it. If you take a matter to court, it doesn't mean automatically you're going to have whatever that you are supposed to have. We need to bargain. We came to 90 million, but they just said if there's a need to up it or do something extra, we have no problem with it because it's a duty of the judge to scrutinize agreements reached by parties.
So you're now going back to the negotiation team?
We are looking at the ruling. Perhaps we may go back or we may leave it to the judge to decide.
The judge made a very profound statement that if you'd allowed him to have given his judgment, he would have probably convicted the accused person. He would have gotten whatever he wanted. Why didn't you go through that process?
I think the judge in his wisdom decided to adjourn. He made a proposal for the adjournment to the 8th, which later came to the 13th. So it's within his wisdom because we never prayed for an adjournment. After he would have said he was ready to deliver the judgment and we would have taken it like that, but he said he wanted to adjourn for the parties to consider the agreement again. We are not in any way aggrieved by the ruling by the judge. But that's
in all this, since the AG has been stating that he wants to ensure that money that the state owes gets it back. Is this all part of the plan?
Yes, in fact, that's the plan. Because you have instances where people have been convicted involving huge sums of money. They are sentenced, they go to prison, they say they have not recovered anything, we lose. So at times, if you are bargaining, there's a possibility that you can recover something, you need to also take a step. I stated somewhere at the last month that in all these banking crises, our idea is to prosecute and, if possible, recover. If there's a possibility of recovering, as in the instant case, if the judge agrees with us, then we have to go along that route.
The judge talked about timing, and we know that sometime within the trial, the accused person had indicated that he wanted to refund some amount of money. Why has it taken this long?
It is true. The accused started making the offers to the Attorney General's office long ago, but we were not comfortable or agreeable to the figures that he was proposing. So that's why it took him all this while up to the last point of the prosecution. And we never relented in our effort to prosecute the accused persons. Despite the overtures that the first accused person made to us, we continued to prosecute the case. We got to the end of the case. Then he brought in this last minute proposal, which we thought was quite reasonable, but of course, subject to satisfaction of the court. So the first accused especially, didn't start his negotiation yesterday. He's been coming and then going. But it's rather maybe to his benefit that the last proposal that he made, we accepted.
Should we expect a better deal on the 13th corridor?
We are going to look at the figures again. Then we look at the options again. Two things. Either we have a better one or we drop the whole thing for the judge to proceed with the matter and then we look at where the ask falls.
The court adjourned proceedings to the 13th of December for the parties to convince the court on the issues that have been raised. William Atuesian, Reverend Fijilad Odonko, and Tateneti, a former managing director of MC Management Service owned by Mr. Asian, were charged with 23 counts of conspiracy to stealing from 620 million liquidity support given to the bank by the Bank of Ghana.
Now, despite the low turnout in chamber, some MPs are still sharing their views on the budget presentation. Member of Parliament for Wa East, Godfred Seydou Jassau, says the budget does not present any hope to farmers and players in the agri sector.
And in reading through, I didn't see the kind of aggressive responses that I was hoping to see. To be honest with you, I've read through the budget, and it appears it's the same focus sectors: crop subsector, cocoa, mechanization, irrigation. And when you read through all the paragraphs, you don't see anything that is responding to the quagmire that we have found ourselves in. You don't see anything aggressive that is transformational. You see, the budget is hinged on a 7-point agenda. One of them is boosting, that's the third one, boosting local adaptive capacity, local productive capacity. So when I saw that theme, I was excited. I said, wow, okay, so I'm going to have to see some transformational direction and provisions in this budget statement that will be able to drive a transformation agenda so that we can do a lot of production and put this country back on the path of growth.
Now, MP for Gomwa West, Richard Jan Mensah, is calling on government to immediately remove some taxes from the petroleum price build-up to cushion the ordinary Ghanaian.
This is where government gets foreign exchange, that is cocoa, gold, and then crude oil. You can see clearly that over the period, the prices have even gone up. And that is where I have always made a call that at least government should look at the extra gains we are making from this area to cushion the ordinary Ghanaian. And one clear area that I've always called on is at least the prices of petroleum products, because we have taxes in the petroleum build-up. We have special petroleum tax, which was introduced in 2014, somewhere November 2014. But then the world international price of petroleum product had gone down. The crude also, Ghana as an exporter of petroleum product, our budgeted amount for crude, we were not going to meet the target. So we brought in this tax just to cushion us. But this time, the prices are way above our projections.
Now, for his part, MP for Akwetia Henry Boakye Yadom has been lamenting the freeze on employment into the public and civil service announced in the 2023 budget.
For the sectors, I would say it's not helpful at all. Looking at the tax components that they have imposed on some of goods and services, and then also looking at the unemployment rate. Now, if you look at even the public sector, Ghana population is close to 32 million. And then by looking at figures that was mentioned in the public sector, it's less than 1 million. So 700 to 800,000 people, which is very low. And again, government is not going to employ public sector employees. So that's another challenge, in the sense that if those are not employed, what do we expect them to do? It gives a sense of security danger as well as a country.
Let's still stay in Parliament, because the minority in Parliament say they cannot wait any longer to vote to decide the fate of embattled Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. The NDC MPs filed a censure motion against the minister, which was referred to an ad hoc committee, which has since last week presented its report to the House. The business statement presented for next week had nothing on the censure motion, but NDC MP for Tamale North, Al-Hassan Suhini, has been lamenting the seeming lack of action on the censure motion.
The Speaker, going through the order paper for this week. The Speaker, going through the order paper for this week, one motion that featured prominently is, I think even on the order paper for today, motion 17, that this Honourable House adopts the report of the ad hoc committee on the motion of censure against the Honourable Minister of Finance, Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta. Mr. Speaker, going through the business for next week, this very important motion that many citizens and non-citizens with interest in our economy are very expectant of, does not find space. Yes, does not find space in the business statement that has been presented. I do appreciate that, Mr. Speaker, that we'll have extended sittings and it will begin on Monday. The debate is still underway, but the debate ends on Tuesday, Mr. Speaker, and that is a debate on the policy statement. The motion that we are currently debating will end on Tuesday.
Now, Minority Leader Haruna Drusu criticized the Majority Leader for failing to schedule the censure motion. The Constitution provides that a censure motion must be debated and voted on within 14 days of the motion being filed. It has been 28 days since it was filed. Minority Leader is worried.
The outstanding motions of censure, one pursuant to Article 82, and the other two, Article 82 in respect of the Finance Minister and the Health Minister. Mr. Speaker, if we are not able to take them today, we will assume rightly that they are to be deferred to be part of the business next week. And therefore, you must accordingly direct the chairman of the business and the business committee to take note. And then, particularly on the motion of censure in respect of the Finance Minister, the words in Article 82 does not give Parliament perpetuity to discuss the matter. We are within defined time limits to consider the motion and take decision as appropriate. So whatever committee has been set up, we need to bring closure to it. I'm aware that it may be an exercise in failure if I don't get the cooperation of the majority, because they are now backtracking, Mr. Speaker.
But Deputy Majority Leader Alexander Afenyo-Markin has been describing the censure motion as a failed motion, which is dead on arrival. He has been reiterating that the motion will not get any support from the majority side.
This is a house that respects rules and procedure. And he knows that this house did not hesitate in making referral to a committee, a referral that the minority opposed and were not in support, but reluctantly accepted. Mr. Speaker, the whole of Ghana watched the evidence they led. The whole of Ghana watched the evidence they led. And the whole of Ghana listened to the finance minister on the so-called allegations, to the extent that the committee unanimously dropped 2 of the grounds. Mr. Speaker, we've read the report. Mr. Speaker, the report would come before the House. Nobody is against the process. So he shouldn't create any impression.
Now, the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin, has disclosed that some African countries are being run by terrorists, and that is a threat to Ghana. Speaking at the launch of the Center for African Diplomacy and Global Engagement, he explained the adverse effects of COVID-19 have been intensified by the Russian-Ukrainian war, which, amongst other factors, compromises Ghana's security. There is more in the following report.
The Center for African Diplomacy and Global Engagement has been established to provide scholarly research and training, as well as promote diplomacy as the best approach to solving global problems. In his address, the director and lead researcher, Lord Malco Yevuga, said the center also aims to promote public engagement in global policy.
Motivations for this center is the fact that in our country, there's a limited discussion about global issues. I mean, if you look at our national discussions, we don't have that depth when it comes to international affairs. And I think that it's very important that as a country that started the African liberation struggle by Kwame Nkrumah, we cannot forget where we were coming from. So we need to become globally engaged, particularly given that we live in a globalized world, and whatever happens elsewhere have implications for us here, as you've seen with the COVID and the Russia-Ukraine. But the discussions in the country before and after have not been sufficient. So if you have a center like this, then we can create a forum, a platform for people to come together, exchange ideas. Then we can also do research and feed government about global issues so that we are not taken by surprise as we did with COVID and Russia.
The Speaker of Parliament, Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin, warns that Ghana is at risk of terrorism due to the Russia-Ukraine war.
The theme for today could not have been more appropriate, given the ravaging effects of COVID-19 on the global economy over the past 3 years. Time will fail me if I am to list the businesses destroyed by reason of the prolonged long lockdowns, the inequalities arising as a result, the astronomical increases in the debt burdens of nations, especially those in the global south, the disruption of the academic calendar and its related impact on the well-being of humanity, and further issues such as gender, among many others. These have undoubtedly been exacerbated by the Russia-Ukraine war.
In other news, Municipal Chief Executive for Nandom, Raymond Nero, has called on the people, especially traders, not to hide under the cloak of the economic challenges that the country is experiencing to increase prices of commodities. He said the continuous increment of prices of goods is further worsening the economic conditions of the people and urged them to put a stop to it. Raymond Nero made the call at the 40th annual general meeting of the Nandom Rural Bank in Nandom. JoyNews' Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafik Salam report from Nandom.
The Nandom Rural Bank PLC was established in 1981 as a unibank operating in a single room with few staff Number 5. The bank has since then grown and strategically expanded into other districts and municipalities such as the Wa Municipal, Lamuse, Sisala West, Wa East, Wa West districts, and headquartered in Nandom with staff numbering 58. Nandom Municipal Chief Executive Raymond Nero paid glowing tribute to the founding fathers of the bank for the various roles played in the establishment of the bank. Raymond Nero noted that economies all over the world has been going through some challenges as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and the Russia-Ukraine war, and Ghana not an exception, which has thus led to the disruption of the global supply chain, and the banking sector not spared either of the negative consequences. He stated that government has however not laid back on the issue as it is currently negotiating with the International Monetary Fund, IMF, to restore macro stability in the country, and is hopeful that the situation will normalize soon.
In times of difficulties, the pessimist sees problems, but the optimist sees opportunities. I therefore urge the board and management of the bank not to be pessimistic in the current economic challenges, but to spot growth opportunities in the country. I implore all of you to continue to rally behind us and also do your best to ensure the realization of our collective and individual goals. Those of you with businesses are particularly advised not to take advantage of the situation to astronomically increase the prices of goods and services. Those without businesses should continuously advise the business people to be measured in their decisions regarding the pricing of goods and services, so as not to make the system unbearable for us.
Board chairman of the Nandom Rural Bank, Femino Bejiro Asoyiri, reveals that in spite of the difficult economic challenges in the country, the bank maintained a very strong financial position, which has reflected in increasing performance across the key financial indicators.
For the period, that's 2021, the bank investment portfolio increased from 19,750,000 in 2020 to 22.35 million in 2021. And the bank is gradually moving away from government bills and banks to concentrate on a small mandate of lending, since lending has the potential of developing the economy within our cabinet area. Total assets as at the end of December grew from 31,270,000 to 34,520 million. Year-on-year growth as at a rate of 10.39%. So that the bank recorded positive in all the areas of its balance sheet. I think our auditors are here. When they read this, you will see it.
The Wa branch manager of ARB Apex Bank, Michael Nyako, assures rural and community banks in the country of their partnership in developing innovative and tailor-made products to satisfy their customers.
A team from Apex Bank, together with the agency banking project consultant, has been on a road show to some countries to help learn from best practices to help in a seamless launch and execution of the agency banking project. As we have always said, although other banks in the countries have already introduced agency banking, this is the first of its kind in our sector, and we shall do everything to ensure that we bring the best agency banking experience to our esteemed customers.
Chief Executive Officer of the Nandom Rural Bank PLC, Masoud Zakaria Dombo, spoke of the various awards won by the bank, including the best profitable bank in Ghana. Reporting for JoyNews, Rafiq Salam, Nandom.
And that's how we wrap up the AM News here on the JoyNews channel. Up next, AM Show continues. My name is Samuel Kojo. Please do stay with us. Good morning. right, so welcome back. It's still the AM show here on the JoyNews channel. Time for us to bring you the papers, and it's me alongside the man. Okay, every other time when he's on, he describes me in a certain way. Now he's the most diabolic person I've seen. My brother from the University of Accra. All right, but the university, the name is University of Ghana, Legon. So if you take Ghana from there, it's Legon, isn't it? Anyway, how are you doing? Let's not go there. How are you?
You've gone there and you're asking me, you're telling me we shouldn't go there.
I'm not going anywhere. I just passed through. But if I'm to go there, Charlie, you can't sit here to do that show. I'll spare you.
You, UCC, I'll just relax for you guys for this show. Yeah, we'll do it behind the scenes. You know those people who will tell you, say, and I'm free, sorry, but in fact, me quite sorry. No,
anyway,
Charlie.
Yo.
Good to have you on the show.
Good to have you too. Good to be here, you know. Especially a day that the Black Stars will be sealing.
Oh, yeah. We're sealing it. And I'm so proud because Senegal took the lead in qualifying, placing second.
Yeah.
The last time they were there on fair play grounds, they were, removed because they were on the same points, I think, with Japan or so. And because they had a yellow card, an extra yellow card, on fair play grounds, they had to leave the tournament. This time round, they've qualified, and I'm so happy for them. They've cast away the demons and that first loss to the Netherlands, I believe. Morocco has done it. I'm so proud of Morocco.
And they topped their table.
Yes, beating the Belgian team, second ranked in the world.
Yes.
I think Croatia is now second, Belgium third, and I've forgotten which team is fourth, whether it's, which one is it anyway? And in our group, I mean, look, today this is what I'm looking forward to, honestly. I want us to thrash Uruguay.
Okay.
3-4 goals. Unanswered, hopefully.
You see, but that would be painful.
And for South Korea to pull a surprise, a rabbit out of the hat, and give it to Portugal. In that instance, if they beat them by 2 goals, 1 goal, and we have quite a number of goals there, we'll be level on 6 points, and we could place first. I'm just trying to
avoid Brazil.
Avoid Brazil. Look, it's not that we can't. It's not that we can't beat Brazil. It's that I would prefer that we face maybe
between Brazil, Switzerland, and Serbia. You go for Switzerland or Serbia. So I agree with you. I pray that they do the magic for us so that we can qualify and top our table and go and meet Switzerland. I mean, they are easy to beat, really.
Hey, they are not easy like that.
Oh, we can beat them.
They are one of the top-ranked teams. Just because we played a friendly with them and beat them 2-0 doesn't mean. They rested a lot of their players.
Yeah, I understand.
Though we also didn't have party.
But we can beat them.
We can.
Yeah.
That's the thing. But
just as we can beat Brazil.
I just want to add this. While we're all hoping, let's not go on the path of vengeance. Because the Bible says vengeance belongs to the Lord. But let's set that aside. I'm saying that sometimes when you're going to do something, even if you're very good and you can win, if you have a vengeful mindset, it can confuse you, you'll get sloppy.
The great news is that the boys who are going to be on the field have said, oh, no, it's a normal game. The captain said, oh, but in that team, I'm the only survivor here.
Right.
So it's not about vengeance.
People have called on the team to go and watch what happened in 2010
but the boys,
and all of that.
It's not really about vengeance. They want to qualify. So the boys have made up their mind. They are not there to revenge what happened in 2010.
Great.
If at the end of the day we beat them, that's when we'll bring in that, we have avenged what you did to us in 2010. I'm hoping to see how Suarez.
But have you heard him?
Have
you heard him speak?
That's what I'm saying. That
he says they know how to do this. They have done it before. They will do it again.
Okay,
He's rubbing salt in our wounds.
No, we are here. I mean, we are here. We won't give them the chance for them to come and say, I'm going to catch the ball. And then now look. Hold on.
But I have a little problem with our team. In defense, we tend to lose focus.
Yes.
If you look at the first and second matches, how within a space of 2-3 minutes, we're able to concede 2 goals back to back. Portugal saying, and it cost us. Then we couldn't come back. Iñaki Williams couldn't net that last minute. It would have been fantastic.
Solid.
Same thing happened in the South Korea match. I'm merely saying our defense really needs to get its act together. You still have Liverpool, forward midfielder come forward, Darwin Núñez in there.
Yeah.
You have Luis Suarez, maybe old, he's still sharp. So if, on the other hand, if we are a little sloppy, trust me, the Uruguayans are not coming to lose. We should keep that in mind.
Now, I'm sure that the coaches. And this is a team that has so many coaches at their disposal. We have 3 local coaches who are very good. We have, another 3 international coaches that are very good. Chris Hutton is the director. You have the guy who was at Aston Villa as a deputy manager.
Yeah.
You have the
Boateng.
Boateng, yes.
Right.
You have the Otuado himself as the. So 6 very good coaches. And when we're going to play the Koreans told us something that they have seen a challenge with our defense and they were exploited. And indeed, that's what they did.
Yeah.
So I'm sure by now, if they have not worked on that, then I'll be surprised what we're doing. Because when we lose concentration for 2-3 minutes, our opponent are able to capitalize on that and they score. So I'm sure they have done some works, on that aspect. It's just unfortunate that I couldn't play to my potential when I started, but I mean, when I was.
This is not the time for regret. When I
was playing.
When you were playing.
Yeah, I mean, in defense, we have to have someone to master and control the line.
So you were the Frank Abankwa of your time.
I tell you what, my team trusted me so much. Everybody can go, I'll be there, but no way. Unless you are like 3 people, but if it's 1-on-1, Jesus Christ. Yeah, but we wish them all the best.
Okay.
Wish them all the best. One of my guys is calling me about if I had played to my potential, maybe.
Well, you're fulfilling your potential in the media space. We want you to fulfill your full potential here. Football in the air. Let's look at the papers we have. Usually on holidays, Farmers Day, and today we have quite some interesting packages for you. Even in my blunt thoughts, I'll be talking partly about agriculture and where we find ourselves as a country. Bernice Abu-Baidoo Lansah also has some interesting packages that have been put together for you on Farmers Day. But the papers tend to be lean. They tend to diet on holidays like this, and it's obvious when you look at the Daily Graphic and other papers. But we have some of them that are out. Let's take a look. I have the Daily Graphic, and you have?
I have the Ghanaian Times and the Daily Guide News.
All right, let's take a look at them from your end.
So Ghanaian Times, $1.4 million narcotic drugs busted. NACOG makes big drug haul at Central Post Office. Now, let's get you the details of the story. Now, it says that and this story was written by Nyanko Irenchi. The Narcotics Control Commission, NACOG, has intercepted 5 boxes of alleged narcotic drugs, estimated at $1.4 million at the Central Post Office in Accra. The boxes, which were all destined for the United Arab Emirates, were discovered to contain a total of 150 packets of coffee labeled Café Nigel Classic. I'm sure you could have pronounced it better. Each packet was found to contain 624 tablets, adding up to a total of 93,600 tablets with an estimated street value of $1.4 million. The head of Public Affairs and International Relations Department of NACOG, Nana Osei Nkwantabisa, disclosed this to the Ghanaian Times in Accra yesterday. He said a failed test conducted on the tablet proved positive for amphetamine, or you say
amphetamines,
amphetamine, narcotic drug. So that's the story there, and they were in a post office.
Charlie, this one, but it's quite a haul, eh? It's quite a bust, really.
$1.4 million.
Yeah, street value. Be joke matter. It's like the economy may hot, so people won't do all kinds of things.
It says that Nana Nkwantabisa stated that samples of the exhibit had been forwarded to the Ghana Standards Authority for analytical examination while investigations continue. He urged the public to refrain from engaging in trafficking of narcotic drugs, which is a criminal offense under Section 37 of the Narcotics Control Commission Act 2020, Act 1019. Well, again, and this is a big story for Ghana. Court rejects Atuisian's 90 million cedi settlement agreement with state. Now, Benti Odro writes, the Accra High Court yesterday rejected a 90 million cedi settlement agreement between William Atuisian, founder of the defunct Capital Bank, who is standing trial for misappropriation of funds and the state. The court found the proposed amount unsatisfactory and of no punitive cost to the accused. The court was ready to deliver judgment on the case, which had lasted nearly 3 years, but had to stay judgment at the last minute. Presiding Judge Justice Elvis Chebafo noted that he was prompted on the eve of the judgment by the court registrar about the terms reached by the two parties. However, he expressed discontent over the terms, stressing that, and I quote, "Just yesterday, the registrar of the court brought to my attention a document captioned agreement between the Republic and Atuasian. I have a number of issues, and until I am satisfied, I will not accept it," he said. The agreement reached under Section 35 of the Court Act 1993 led the accused to agree to a plea of guilty and to pay restitution to the state. Contained in the agreement was for the accused to pay 90 million Ghana cedis restitution within 1 year, and an agreement to pay 30 million cedis on or before yesterday. The remaining 60 million was to be paid within a year. But Justice Chebafo explained that the 90 million in contention had depreciated in value as a dollar to the cedi, which stood at 3.70, 3 cedi 70 pesos at the time was now 13 cedi 70 pesos. Quote, "If accused is made to pay the 90 million cedis, then he should be made to pay the money based on the current exchange rate so that Capital Bank will not be worse off as a result of money taken by him. Allowing accused to pay 90 million cedis will not be full restitution, but just partial," he added. And I am told the judge was very angry.
I would be angry.
Yeah.
In the judge's shoes as well, and I concur when he says that if we set this precedent and there has been some other precedents, then it means we're allowing this to go and people can feel I can do this. Worst case scenario, I'll have to cough up the same amount of money and go scot-free. I don't have anything against Atuasian, but I'm saying that if these people indeed engaged in criminality, I mean, why would you want to go through this entire process claiming you want to clear your name and prove that you are innocent, all of a sudden to make this pirouette, this turnaround and claim, oh, now you are willing 2 days or so to the judgment's delivery that you now want to, pay up this sum of money. I feel these people should, if they are culpable, per what the law stipulates, per the ruling of the court, then they should bear the full consequences, whether it has to do with returning certain sums of money, whether it has to do with jail time or whatever, because these people played with the destinies of so many people, some who are dead, some who have committed suicide, some who have lost their businesses, some who have lost their finances totally. How can we, sit by and allow these people? And if this goes on, and if this is allowed to go on, and if these people are merely made to pay sums of money, then I think government on its end would have also opened the floodgates and said, you know what, let's do business. You can dupe people and do whatever. All you have to do is pay back a certain sum of money and you're good to go. And that would be nonsensical to me.
So he haven't gone to agree to this agreement, then says that he's guilty, isn't it? Because he says that the story says...
Why is he trying to avoid judgment? That's the point.
Exactly. So, once he has agreed to these terms, it means the judge can, based on it, to say that, well, you have agreed that you are guilty in it. But let's see how it goes. But I'm happy that the judge said that you cannot do that to a state. If 90 million in 2015, 2015, 90 million in 2015 is not 90 million in 2022, isn't it?
It isn't.
It should be somewhere around 25 or something million. I mean, the mathematicians can do the depreciation thing. So he says that if really you want to pay, then pay at the current dollar rate. So, and that
I will leave the courts and we'll leave government to deal with these. But as always, we'll be like the flies, the proverbial fly on the wall. We'll be watching. And whatever is done will be used against those who do this or that. Because posterity will judge us for what we're doing.
I'm just happy that we found this judge. According to those who are in court, he says, I cannot leave appeals court, spend 3 years.
The Court of Appeal,
spend 3 years on this case. For you to just bump up and say we have agreed to settle, for him to pay the same amount he took so many years ago at the same rate. It can't.
The system we're in. I'll leave it there.
I just pray nothing changes the judge's mind for him to still stay where he is.
You've also said you've also put another point out because yesterday I was interacting with one Dr. Etiahene on the banking. He's a guru when it comes to the banking sector, and he said some things nowadays. You even refrain from saying them. He said it live on air because the powers that be will attack you, they'll call you, they'll do this, they'll do that, they'll set their social media dogs on you. It's interesting the times we're in, but hey, we'll weather this storm.
But this story from...
Go ahead. Go ahead.
CDD bemoans political elite attitude towards national challenges. Now, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, some cabinet ministers and members of parliament have been criticized for abandoning the 2023 budget debate to watch the World Cup in Qatar. and I'm sure you will find a space in your blunt tour today. The Director of Advocacy and Policy Engagement at the Center for Democratic Development, Ghana, CDD Ghana, Dr. Kojo Pumpuni Asante, criticized them following reports that some ministers were seen in Qatar cheering on the Black Stars during their march against South Korea. Meanwhile, the MPs were expected to debate the policies announced in the budget. However, most of the majority MPs were not present in the House when the discussions on the budget started. The Minister of Finance, Ken Ofori-Atta, was also represented by his 2 deputies. Reacting to this in an interview on Thursday, Dr. Kojo Pumpuni Asante described the absence of the ministers in Parliament as terrible. And those of us who listened to the SMS yesterday, you saw how passionate Dr. Asante was. Right. And I share in his views.
I mean, can you imagine that, first of all, the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, is not available?
I'm told he's on an official assignment to Germany.
I get it. But the point is, he's not available.
Yes.
His deputies, and there have been complaints about that situation. Ordinarily, are you saying we didn't know that there would be arrangements for him to be in Germany when we're going for the budget presentation? Ordinarily, when do you recall that we've had something like this without a finance minister? So that's a point to be made. Okay. Then, to add, insult to injury, to rub salt in our wounds, you have about 37 MPs from the majority side showing up. Out of 137, 100 now can some are watching football in Qatar and the rest. It's not that, you see, sometimes it's the optics. Yeah. It's how these things come out.
You miss it.
At a time like this, that is why in the US, you can have a situation and the president is, on vacation or something, quickly comes back. Yeah. In fact, there are instances where there are serious matters that happen. Our presidents are somewhere and they'll finish before they come back.
I think that
it's the optics. Yeah. And how can we be doing this when we are in such dire economic straits and we have to debate the budget? This budget could be make or break for our country. And people are out there chilling.
And that's why I'm shocked they couldn't read between the lines to know that this is a period we need to show what we call leadership. Lead so that we, the followers, can also follow. But when the leaders have abandoned the ship that is headed for colliding in a glacier, and we are left unattended to, we have nobody to lead. It's just chaotic, and it doesn't inspire hope that we can really get out of this mess anytime soon. I feel disappointed that the MPs chose this time to go to Qatar to watch the game for nothing at all. Yes, maybe you are paying your own ticket. We're not saying that the state paid for it, but we're saying that in the moment we find ourselves, it would have shown much more, it would have been a much more beneficial decision for you to decide to stay in Ghana to help steer the country out of where we are and not to be seen in Qatar having fanfare. When a lot of us, majority of us are here, not knowing what the next step of this country will be. So I feel that, in fact, this government let us down big time in the most important period. They shouldn't have gone to Qatar. None of them should have. Looking at the period we're in, it may be your own money, yes, but like you said, the optics matter. The followers need to know that our leaders are inspiring us for us to get out of this mess. But when your leaders are cheering in the midst of challenges, you know where you are headed. It's just a very, very unfortunate time to be in.
Well, let's do the Daily Graphic newspaper. Farmers' Day nominees highlight challenges in the sector. Ghana vowed to drown Uruguay today. We'll say Ghana, or you say wait. Confronting home ownership challenges, collective action paramount, as Senso Boache at Graphic Grader Fair. There's also Doma East, home of poetry. I'll do some of these stories, then get into other stories, health, and also the WASI as of the latest results that are available. So let's do Farmers' Day first. Let's go to page 13. And some best farmer nominees for this year have cited poor road networks to their farms, high interest rates on loans, and lack of access to potable water and electricity as some of the challenges facing their smooth operation. They also say the lack of a ready market for their produce also contributed to post-harvest losses. These challenges came to light at a forum organized by the headline sponsor of the 38th National Farmers' Day Awards, the Agricultural Development Bank in Koforidua yesterday. The forum was to herald the awards ceremony scheduled to take place at the Jubilee Park at Koforidua, the Eastern Regional Capital, today. And so those are some of them. Quick reactions. I know you know this space well. These challenges, do you know what befuddles me? We've spoken about these things for for as long as I've been alive.
You've learned to them.
No, for as long as I've been alive, and reading from our past discourse on this, it's been saying.
Oh, it never changes.
What a country.
We don't have a plan, really. Because if I learnt this, challenges that confront agriculture in JSS, 2000s.
Master, before we were born, they were talking about this.
So why are we still, from, let's say, even say if it was 2000, I learnt about this. We're in 2022, isn't it?
22 years later.
We're still talking about it. So over the years, what was our plan? If we have come to accept that agric really is the backbone of this economy, and agric is a sector that if Ghana really wants to progress, we can take advantage of and really transform this country.
The Malaysians came for oil palm.
And they,
from us.
Yes.
Look at what they are doing.
They are doing.
Do you know how many billions it contributes to their agri sector? Cocoa, same thing. Yet look at us.
Yes. We seem to major in talking about our challenges than finding a way. I always say that, look, there's a road in my community, Agoran Kwanta. Today when I drive on it, erosion has eroded a lot of the soil. And I ask myself, so over 20 years, could we have decided that every year we'll do a kilometer of that road and even tow it and tell the people that we'll use the revenue to construct the road? Would we have had the road in that shape? We wouldn't. So what is really our strategy? We always leaders come to sit in offices, and you don't get to have the plan they have to transform our society, really. Because the challenges that confront agriculture for 22 years after I learned about these challenges, we are still talking about it. It baffles me, really. What is our plan? What is our game plan to transform the sector? I hope that if we don't take 10 years to come, we'll still talk about these same problems. Lack of access road to farms. And we talk about, this, we don't have post-harvest, we don't have a storage facility, so we have a lot of crops going.
What happened to the silos and stuff under Nkrumah? What happened to them?
I'll talk about the one in Takoradi because that's what I know. If you go there, a private developer has bought the land and has put up a hotel and constructed rooms around the silo for his staff. So that land is gone. We don't have it. Nkrumah constructed that. We used our money to do it. Today, when you go to a hotel in Takoradi, Apremdo, those who know will tell you.
God have mercy on them.
So the visionary president set this country on a path of growth, but all the people that have come after him really have not matched that.
Let's do some more stories. Sometimes it gets so easy drowning yourself in the negatives here in Ghana because there are so many of them. Our land is replete with them and our leaders are not helping. But maybe we should keep hope and optimism alive. Hopefully. Hopefully we'll get different and get better. But let's look at this story. Confronting home ownership challenges, collective action paramount. Asenso Boache, that is the housing minister at Graphic Great Affairs. So real estate players, individuals and institutions must collaborate to find solutions to challenges confronting home ownership in the country. The Ministry of Works and Housing, the Minister of Works and Housing, Francis Asenso Boache, who made the call, said the, quote, government recognizes this huge challenge and is critically looking at the general institutional architecture that drives the housing sector. He made the call at the opening of a 3-day housing fair organized by the Graphic Communications Group Limited in collaboration with the Ghana Real Estate Developers Association in Accra yesterday. Meanwhile, we have Saglemi, which we've put up for sale.
Is it even only Saglemi? When you were talking about it, I was just fuming. Look, the State Housing Corporation, that is supposed to look at affordable housing for us. Go and ask how much they are putting up structures. 400, is even cheaper, isn't it? They are putting up structures targeting the people who could have houses in cantonment and all of that. So what is our plan? And we talk about affordable housing, we talk about whatever. Really, I think we talk more than we do. They should be targeting.
What are you saying? You think we talk more than we do? Okay. Or you know we talk more than we do?
I know.
Because
you see, I chased the State Housing Corporation's structures on social media. And I went to ask, how much is this? Because I thought you were talking about affordable. The money they mentioned and the fact that you even need to do a down payment of a certain large amount, then who are you building for?
How affordable is affordable?
You are building for the people who can build on their own, who can afford the high and mighty.
And you ask yourself, when back then we put together Dansuman, as that sort of community, estates and all of that, what was the thinking? How were people able to afford it when Nkrumah was working on the Kaokudi area? And look at us today. Sometimes I ask myself, how different was Nkrumah's thinking, and how different, how inept, how incompetent are our leaders today? It's simply crazy. We have everything in this country. Yet, look at the young people.
Hey, it's serious, really. When I hear them talk about affordable housing, I'm like, they should keep quiet, really. Because what is affordable about what they do? That the state housing corporation is building houses being sold at, am I right to say 400,000 cedis? I think I'm wrong, but 400,000 and above. So the person who is, working as a teacher, can he afford that house? But these are the people you target when you're talking about affordable housing.
And even when they are done, they sell it to themselves. They find relatives to front for them.
And
our system is completely gone to the dogs.
And the minister should watch how now houses are being priced in dollars in this country. We have said that pricing things in dollars is taking our city into the gutters, isn't it? So why are we still sitting aloof for real estate owners to be pricing their asset in dollars? Look, today if you go to Chado, places that you could rent for 500 cedis, now they know that the burgers will be coming. I'm told people have now, taken their rooms and they are converting them into short time stay, charging dollars. Really, what are we doing in this country?
Let's wrap with these stories. I'll take some international stories, 3 of them, and just look at 2 more stories. Then you'll wrap with the Daily Guide. 4 Ivorian extremists face terrorism and murder charges. That story on page 5 of the Daily Graphic. Kenya's Ruto launches flagship credit scheme for the poor. Ghana can learn from this. Ramaphosa to be impeached? That's the question. And now the South African president is being, haunted over the Farmgate scandal, and he could actually get impeached. Some $4 million involved there. But when you turn to page 10, 2022 WASSCE results, candidates perform better in math, English, and social studies. You can check out the details from there. I'll focus, though, on inadequate kidney equipment, high cost of treatment, causes of fatalities. And lack of equipment coupled with a high cost of treatment of kidney diseases has resulted in the death of many patients in the country. According to the president of the Ghana Kidney Association, Professor Samson Entry, every child diagnosed with end-stage kidney disease either dies in a health facility or is counseled to go home and die, adding, this is what we live with and the narrative must change. Today, at 50 years of dialysis, many more citizens who need this life-saving medical service die because of a lack of access and prohibitive costs of care, which is in contrast to what pertains in other countries such as Cameroon and Sudan. Sudan.
You're done.
Yeah, you can't. Sudan. I am done. I'm done. This country, we'll not do this, but we'll be big talk and we'll be walking around in Qatar, not even dealing with our budget. Anyway, that's it for me. Let's wrap with the Daily Guide.
Daily Guide, Mensah strike today. IMF team visit Ghana for bailout talks. I think these are the stories that stand out for me in the papers.
We have just about a minute.
Okay, this one says that an International Monetary Fund team led by Stefan Rudert is in the country to continue discussions on the country's request for a support program. The visit is expected to last till Tuesday, December 13. The fund said a statement issued on Wednesday. Ghana turned to the IMF for help in July as its balance of payment deteriorated and hundreds took to the street to protest against economic hardship. Now, as for the Mensah striking today is in relation to the NSS Ashanti Regional Director who verbally abused one of...
What do you think of that? What do you make of that?
Yeah, I feel that, their action is, I think it's unnecessary because the man acted wrongly. The whole country has bashed him. The NSS have suspended him pending investigations. And if you leave patient because of one person verbally abusing one of you, I am talking for the patient who would need your services today.
Right.
And it is based on that I'm saying it's needless. We have supported them all this while. I feel that they should have listened to the sentiment of the people of Ghana. Everybody supported you. You don't erode that sympathy you have by embarking on this strike. That will turn the country against you.
So sometimes when you have to be careful how you go about it.
Exactly.
Sometimes you have a good one, but then you keep on, you know, making your point, and then people. But you see, while I agree with you, I feel they are overstretching it. At the same time, I'm also looking at the other angle, and they will talk about precedent, what has happened in the past with people throwing themselves around, raising their shoulders, ruffling feathers, and thinking, oh, because you are this and that. You know, there's this line. I think I copied it from somewhere. The man goes something like, do you know who I am? I am the Ashanti regional boss of the NSS. And he asks her who her father is. And she says, my father is also somebody. I mean, even if he's not in such a position. But you see, I just feel that while this will affect the entire nation, I wouldn't necessarily condemn their action. Why has the NSS? Yes, you've suspended the person. Why not go forward? What is going to be the end game? NSS, make it clear. You get it. I feel some people should be made an example of, so that such sebi nonsense of leadership. Oh, I am this, I am in this position. So the heck what? Who the heck are you? We have that thing in this country. I am this and I am that, so you should treat me.
Ben, like I said, I agree.
Such a foolish mentality.
I agree that the man should be sacked, really. If they want to show that leadership matters, this is what the government have to do, sack the guy. But I'm saying that the nurses should consider the patient who are in the water and will be needing their services. You can
that I agree with.
If the people, 100%. If the government after their investigations still keep the man in, then we will all support them to do something. But now they have the NSS have taken a decision to suspend. I think we should have. But Ben, one of my guys, he's called Buju. He says, "I'm watching you live. Please tell him your name is Polo, the great defender." Yeah.
Ayo.
That is
okay. So right before we get into sports, would you like to know what I'm talking about today? The title.
Yeah, I read it in the introduction. It was solid.
Our economy in shambles.
Yeah.
Our agriculture in limbo, and our MPs in Qatar. The never-ending madness we have to contend with. That's what I'll be sharing my blunt thoughts on this morning. But right now, though, let's talk about sports and the World Cup match today. Uruguay's Luis Suarez refuses to apologize for the 2010 World Cup handball incident, and he says they are going to pepper us. They've done it before, they will do it again.
Really?
Today be today. We'll see what happens. Sports up next.
The upsets, the joy, the boos and the cheers continues frantically at various stadiums in the beautiful city of Doha as the World Cup Qatar 2022 continues. But will it be revenge, retribution, or will just allow fate to take its course as the Black Stars of Ghana today will take their turn against Uruguay, in which we have our very weird nemesis. But hey, we'll get to see if we get to be a part of the last round of 16. My name is Abigail Senasosu. Thank you for joining us and welcome to the sports segment here on the AM show on this special holiday edition. Straight away, we'll go to Qatar where Muftar Nabil Abdullah is standing by to tell us what exactly is happening. Is it still that feel of revenge or a normal game for the Black Stars of Ghana against Uruguay? Muftar, good morning. It's good to hear from you.
Good morning, Abigail. Thanks for having me.
And I can see we are joined by Coach Nanajiman and Coach Osman. Good morning, my bosses. It's good to see all of you.
Good morning. Good morning, Abigail. Nice to be with you this morning.
I'm happy that Black Stars have given me the opportunity to be seeing you more often on my screens and talk about football. It's good to have all of you. But Mutao, you are far away with the team. Tell us, the morning into that big game where most Ghanaians think it should be time to take our revenge from Uruguay, especially in Luis Suarez. How is the camp like? What is the feel like, the mood? Is it just a normal match day mood?
Abigail, so far, it's been quite a normal match day mood. Nothing special. Yesterday, I was in the Black Stars camp I was at a press conference. I was with the supporters. I was with the team during their training session.
Okay.
And I noticed that the atmosphere was quite calm. I had a privilege of interacting with some members of the technical team who all told me that the players are excited. There's no pressure on them going into this. They know what it means to play Uruguay. They know what is at stake in this game against Uruguay. So the players are very composed, very confident that when they go onto the pitch later today, they'll be walking away with a win that would definitely secure them qualification to the next round of the tournament. Abigail, I can tell you with all certainty that based on what I witnessed yesterday, all 26 players are available. So Otoado has got a room to decide who and who should start in this game. The latter part of the training session, you know, is often not permitted for media to have a glance of what happened. But I was again privileged to have gotten some intel of who is likely and who is not likely to start and all that. So tonight we're going to have a very, very solid team. Like Otoado said at his pre-match press conference, this is a game that's going to be very normal. He spoke about how sad he was when Ghana missed out on that semi-final ticket 12 years ago.
Okay.
And this is an opportunity for him to lead the team to be able to go out there and win. Thomas Partey was also at a press conference and he said, this game is a normal game. He was very young when that game happened, some 12 years ago. But he still has memories of what happened at the Soccer City Stadium in South Africa. And he believes that this group of players are quite different from the team that played that game against Uruguay some 12 years ago. Apart from Andre Ayew, even in fact, Andre Ayew did not play that game because he was suspended for that game in the quarterfinal. So he was not available. So he was on the, he was not part of the team. So Thomas Partey spoke about how this is a new group of players who are hungry to succeed and who are very confident that when they go on the pitch, their quality would determine what would happen. They are not surprised by the psychological things that the Uruguayans are doing. In fact, they brought Luis Suarez to the press conference. The questions were all about what happened some 12 years ago. Many people can clearly understand that this was a decision that was meant to stoke anger, to stoke revenge in the minds of the players, the technical team, and all that. But in my conversation with some of the technical team members, they tell me that, Muftau, this is a game we are going to approach like any other game. We do not have a special training for it. We are going to play. If we give the performance we gave against Portugal and South Korea, we'll be walking away with a win. And that is what we expect the team to do later tonight.
Hold that thought for us. Clearly, we will come back to you. You mentioned something about a possible lineup from what you saw. We will get back to you on that. But let me address our coaches who have joined us this morning. Coach Osman, I want to start with you. Will it be right for this new crop of players, like Muftau has explained, to inherit this revenge format or this revenge mindset that a lot of Ghanaians seem to have?
No, certainly not. It's got nothing to do with anything, and I'm a bit disappointed that we've carried this for 12 years. We're the one who carried this for 12 years. Suarez hasn't been thinking about us at all in the past 12 years. We're the one who raised this issue once again. I mean, why are we doing this to ourselves? We need to just go out there and play football. It's irrelevant, and Suarez was quite right. He handled the ball, and even Coach Otoado said he would expect any one of his players to do same. So we should leave that subject matter alone and just focus on playing the game. We have a great opportunity of going into the last 16. It's something that is not an insurmountable task. We should just think about that and forget about the Suarez factor. He's 12 years older. He may not even play.
I agree with you on that, Scott. But let's come to the game itself, tactically, away from all of those vendetta and emotions. This is a team that has scored 5, conceded 5. A lot has been said about our defense, how we line up, how we concede goals almost in split seconds before we're able to regroup and all of that. Going into this game, what exactly should we expect from any 11 that will be allowed to start this game for Ghana tactically?
Well, let me say the first thing, it shouldn't be any 11. There's a particular 11 that should be played, and I'm waiting for Muftau to tell us what is the lineup. Okay. But you know, from how we performed and the lineup from the South Korean game, for me, as each game comes on, I believe that the coach is getting a better feel of his proper starting 11. I think the starting 11 last time, I had some issues. I think the starting 11 last time was strong, was very strong. And it showed that it was a starting 11 that had good character too. And I think that's the way we have to approach it. We have to have the fullbacks or the wing-backs who are going to put a lot of pressure on the Uruguayans, providing crosses in the box. And we've got to have a solid midfield in front of the back four. I'm confident today that this game is done. I've watched the Uruguayan games. I've looked at the stats in terms of their attack, their distribution, and everything else. The majority of it is below what the Ghanaian team is doing when it's on the field. It's below. Okay. It doesn't quite match. And how many goals have they scored, for example? How many goals have Uruguay scored?
None.
In the last 2 games. You know, and how many goals have we scored? So we go into every game knowing that we can score goals. Yeah. And lately, it's more than 1 goal. Yeah. So I'm very confident that we're going into this game with a very good lineup, even though I'm yet to hear it, a competitive lineup. And when the first whistle kicks off, you will see the focus and the concentration, the willingness and desire to win and to take Ghana into the last 16. So I'm very confident about it. Forget Suarez. He doesn't feature. I think he's only played about 80 minutes or so. He's not an issue at all. We'll progress into the round of 16. Okay,
Coach Osman, if you are with us, I'm sure you watched Ghana play against Portugal, come back strongly against South Korea to bring us to this point where we have to face Uruguay in the last round of matches. We have not spoken to you since the tournament started. 5 goals scored, 5 goals conceded. How do we face Uruguay to make sure we do not repeat certain mistakes from those 2 games?
Good morning, Abigail. I hope you're fine. And let me say hello to my senior man, my senior coach Adjumai. Abigail, and rightly, like Coach Adjumai said, I think our challenge then would be not scoring because we scored 5 goals, but conceding. We conceded 5 goals. So the more we score, the more we concede. So that's what we should work on. And my point here is I am very concerned about what the Ghana team is doing without the ball, not with the ball, because I'm very optimistic and very sure that with the ball, they have scored 5 goals, which is positive. Without the ball, we have conceded 5 goals, which is negative. So how then do we work on not conceding, but scoring? That's where my challenge with the team would be. Yesterday, I watched the Japan versus Spain match, and the Japanese were playing like a computer game. They were well structured without the ball. You could see the 5-4-1 formation. Everybody knows when he should attack. Everybody knows when he should mark. Everybody knows when he should cover. The team shape is moving at any movement of the ball. It was fantastic. That's what I expect our Ghanaian team to do. I wouldn't talk about Ghana with the ball because, trust me, we have equally good players who are playing equally big teams, just like any other European country. But how is our pressing? Are we deciding to do the medium pressing, high pressing, low pressing? What do we do as a team without the ball? That's what I think I have not really seen that much of the Black Stars. That's why we're conceding those 5 goals. But I'm very optimistic The coaches who are very best, who are very knowledgeable, who are very good coaches, world-class coaches, I've seen that, and they would definitely be working on that.
Okay, Coach, you hold out your thoughts there for me. Muftao, you mentioned something that has triggered all of us. We are ready to hear from you. From the training that you saw, we are not in Doha, Qatar with you at the ASPA facility. What you saw, what could be that possible starting lineup? How do you see that we are approaching that game? In our first game, we were all defensive with that 5 back. We came back to our three backs with wing backs against South Korea. How do you think they are going to line up against a rather aging Uruguay attack?
Abigail, that is quite a difficult question for me to answer. The previous day, and let me explain. I do not want to go in detail, but the previous probable lineup that I gave out that turned out to be true raised some kind of issues within camp. The technical team, the management of the FA, all quite unhappy, saying all sorts of things that are non-existent. But what I can tell you is that the usual players that we know are going to start will start. So, for instance, the back line that we saw against South Korea, I do not anticipate to see any changes. If there will be a change, it's likely to be coming from Dennis or Doy, but I do not anticipate any changes in that back line.
Okay.
In midfield, same. And the attacking front that we saw is also going to be the same thing. Yeah, that's actually what I can tell you. To go in detail, apologies.
Clearly, it is one of the moments where we say do not change a winning team, if that is what you are saying, because if we won that game against...
do not put words in my mouth. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm just saying
I'm just asking, because if you say we are going to keep almost that defense, then it's more likely we are not changing a winning team. So just hold it for us. I'll come back to you. But Nana, if you can hear me, I wanted to ask this when he started mentioning from the defense and all of that. We have seen that clearly our number one at this tournament has been Ziggy. So there's no way we have to talk about that goalkeeping department. But in that central defense, at a point, we thought that Mate and Jiku were the best. Not to take anything away from Salisu, but what is happening? Why are we not really seeing those two in this tournament? Okay, Nana, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. You were addressing me?
Yes, please. So I was asking that from all that Muftao has said, he started from all of the department. For goalkeeping now, we know that Ziggy clearly has become our number one, so we can't really talk much about his department. But in that defense, prior to this tournament, we saw that Amate Jiku in central midfield we thought was really working for us. But at this tournament, we're not really seeing them together. What do you think could account for that? Not to take anything away from Salisu.
Well, you can't take anything away from Salisu. Unfortunately, when Muftao was speaking, I didn't hear a word. I was reconnecting. I lost.
Okay, so if I can wrap that up for you, he clearly stated that from what he saw, there wouldn't be any major changes in that lineup against South Korea. He wouldn't be too direct with it, but we will see the normal midfield of clearly Pate, Kudus, and maybe Samed, who is gradually stamping his authority in that clash. And it's possible we'll get to see Jordan, Dede, and Inaki again. But in that defense, he's thinking maybe Dennis Odoy could be introduced.
Oh, okay. Well, as far as the defence is, I think the defence is solid. I think the main challenge the defence has is dealing with crosses. We didn't deal with crosses effectively enough, getting our head on the ball. In the instances where the South Koreans scored 2 goals, we clearly weren't facing the ball even. Yeah. We were looking at the goal, and you just can't defend like that. I think Jiku is still fine, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't think Odoy needs to be added at this stage.
Okay.
To be perfect, I think the defense can stay as it is. I'm happy that it doesn't appear that there will be any changes. I think the lineup we started with against South Korea is fine. And the real essence of that is that we have a super bench. We have quite a few players there who can come from the bench as impact substitutes and really influence the game. So I'm quite happy if that's going to be the case. I don't see that there should be any changes, to be honest with you.
Okay.
And defense, I'm sure they know already that, you know, the weakest part of their defense is defending aerial ball. So I'm sure they must have worked on that.
Okay. Coach Osman, are you still with us?
So Abigail, just a quick one on what Nana was saying.
Okay, Musa, let's hear you.
The question of the back line was asked by Gary at a press conference yesterday. Otto was asked the question why we concede so many goals. And his answer was that we are coming up against opponents who are equally as hungry as we are.
Okay.
Those teams do not stand there and ask you to go and score. He understands that we have a challenge when it comes to dealing with area balls. And in fact, I showed him statistics of South Korea's number of crosses into the box. I showed him those stats from the FIFA platform.
Okay.
He looked at those numbers and said, these are numbers already they knew. They knew the South Koreans were going to be delivering heavy crosses into the box.
Okay.
But the point was that the crosses were delivered at a point where each player who was supposed to be saved, for instance, you look at someone like Mohamed Salisu, who was supposed to be blocking the Korean defender who was coming, but his interest was in clearing the ball.
Yeah.
So it was just a matter of a wrong decision from the defender. Instead of going in to head the ball out or trying to block his opponent, he tried to clear the ball, and the opponent beat him to knock it in. So these are concerns for the technical team as well, but there are things they are working on.
Okay.
In fact, I also showed him the statistics of Uruguay, and these are things he and his analysts are working on. So as we come up against Korea later tonight, I am very, very optimistic that the technical team already have done their homework very well. They had a technical meeting 9 p.m. yesterday, and I'm sure that they will iron out all the challenges they saw against South Korea before that game against Uruguay tonight.
Okay, Coach Osman, I was coming to you with that bit. Do you see that there could be changes, or should we have any tactical change to that team that won against South Korea as we go into this game later this afternoon?
Not really. Our team against South Korea was a very formidable team, and I respect that I see more than 95% of that team playing again. The only thing that I think we should work so much on is our defensive department. In fact, it's a whole team actually. Like I said, what do we do without the ball? How do we stop the crosses? Because once you allow them to make the crosses, then it becomes dangerous. How do we set up our defense in such a way that we are blocking all the crosses, and anytime they are able to get across anyway, because they're also going to train on how to cross, how then do we play the ball in front of our goalpost and ensure that we do not allow any ball into our goalpost? That's where my challenge is. But apart from that, I expect about 99% of the team that played against South Korea should start this game.
Coach, we are going into this game hoping to qualify. We do not want to lose this game, at least to be on a safer side. What are you expecting from the team? Nana reminded us something. At least this tournament, we are scoring more than a goal. How many goals are you looking forward to this afternoon?
Well, it's difficult to say, really. I mean, all I really want is a win. But we've shown very clearly that we have the ability to score a number of goals in each match we've played. And the beauty of it as well is that it's coming from so many different players.
Yeah.
So we have the ability to score goals. Majority of the players have the ability to score goals. And I would think 2 or 3, well, that would be fine for me. I don't see Uruguay scoring any goals unless there's a serious lapse within the... I think we should comfortably deal with them at least 3 goals to 0.
Coach Osman, do you agree with this assertion that we can deal with the Uruguayans at least 3 goals or more?
Yeah, it's possible because, I mean, we scored 2 in the first game and 3 in the second game. So it's likely that we would be able to score 3. That's not far from possible. But my other side is we are equally conceded. We conceded 3 goals in the first match, 2 goals in the second match. And that's where my worry is. My senior coach is saying that he does not see Uruguay scoring, but per statistics, there's a high likelihood that the Black Stars would at least concede a goal based on data. So I really would like to encourage our technical team and the Black Stars to really work on their defensive setup and ensure that we do not concede a goal. And once we are not able to concede a goal, our chances of qualifying become very high.
Thank you. Mofsal, before you take leave of us, you are there. You think we can score more goals today without conceding, per what you have said, that they know the mistakes and they are looking to correct them before we get into this game?
Trust me, Abigail, one person I can put on record is Thomas Partey.
Okay.
He said, we know the mistakes we have done and we know what we will do to win. For him, I can put him on record. I've had conversations with many players within the camp.
Okay.
These players, they are very certain of the mistakes they do. For instance, that 3rd goal Ghana scored. Trust me, the story behind that 3rd goal, you would be shocked. But it went in. These boys actually know how to go about their stuff. And my only worry is that psychological effect. Otto Addo and his technical team are trying so hard so they will not transfer that psychological effect from the Ghanaian supporters, the African supporters, the black race onto these players so they don't go on the pitch with that pressure of revenge in the defeat that team suffered some 12 years ago. That is my only worry. For instance, BBC's Isaac Fannin actually said that he used the word "we" to describe Ghana when he was asking his question of the injustice that was done to Ghana at the FIFA World Cup. He said "we," and it is quite rare to get that from most international journalists. Associate themselves with country, and the passion with which he asked the question was clear that everyone here feels Ghana must revenge that defeat. That is my only fear. But if the players are able to keep level-headed going into this game, I'm very certain. There's the other aspect of most Sub-Saharan African countries always struggling against South American countries. Well, I do not think, there's always a first time. I do not think tonight Uruguay would get the better of us. Play for a draw and pray South Korea don't also win against Portugal. And we are true. That is basically it, Abigail.
Sure,
Abigail.
Coach Osman, I'm here.
I just want to pick on Mustau. Mustau, there was no injustice in that game in 23. It was a penalty.
I'm not the one saying an injustice. What I'm saying is that it is the preoccupation of many people. And in fact, I use the word injustice because BBC's Isaac Fannin used the word injustice. That was his exact word.
It's not correct.
So it means that justice must be said. And in fact, Coach Osman, just a quick one. Someone actually asked the Uruguayan coach a question, whether he thinks Luis Suarez should use his hand again if the opportunity presents itself, instead of allowing fair play to happen on the pitch. And the coach said he does not think that we will find ourselves in a similar situation where something of that sort would happen. He believes his team is good enough to win without cheating. That's what the South Korean coach said. So I'm not the one saying it was an injustice that was said to Ghana, Africa, and the world. No, it is what people have said and have heard That's what I'm putting across.
I think that there's a lot more justice to be done on the pitch later at Ghana time, 3 p.m. And that is what we are looking forward to. Coach Osman, thank you very much for making time for me this morning. And Ajiman, I'm grateful you always have time for us on Joy Sports. Mufta Nabila, I leave you with the Black Stars, and please give us some good results today. And tell Salisu that for some of us, the Southampton fans, we are still rooting for him to make sure that he continues to make us.
Southampton fan. You've moved from Man U to Southampton.
Why are you doing this? So we support them all and we wish them the very best. I'm sure we'll talk again with all of these smiles after that game. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so that was Mufta Nabila far away from Doha, Qatar, Nana Ajiman, who has been a part of our review and preview on the AM show on JoyNews channel. Every other time we get to talk about the Black Star. Coach Osman is a known voice and face on Joy, and we are grateful for joining us this morning. But ahead of that game, there were some presses that went on, like Mufta was reiterating, and Luis Suarez says that there is nothing to apologize about. He was duly given a red card, and Ghana had an opportunity with a penalty. So why didn't we take it? Let's hear from Suarez.
I take the handball, the ball, but the Ghana player missed a penalty, not me. Maybe I can say apologize if I take a tackles, take injury the player and take a red card. Maybe I can say apologize. But in this situation, I take a red card, the ref says penalty. It's not my fault because I don't miss the penalty. You see the player miss a penalty. He say he do it the same in this situation. It's not my responsibility to shoot the penalty.
It's about perspective. If the same incident would have happened the other way around and Ghana would have proceeded to the semi-finals, everybody would say, okay, it's normal that the player would do everything he can to help his team to go to the semi-finals. So for me, it's not a big topic. I wish, this is what I wish from every player, to do all he can to help his team qualify for the semi, and sometimes sacrifice even himself with red cards. It was a very sad day for me. Also, I watched it was so sad. But this is my perspective. If I see from another perspective, it's a normal thing. So it's not for me, it's not a big topic. And I'm going on the match like every other match. We prepare as good as we can, and we try to show them their strengths and weaknesses, and we try to also emphasize on our strength and do. And try to create solutions defensively, but also offensively. That's it. Surely everyone knows about their strength. First of all, it's you have a very, very long tradition of football and mentality. All the players are strong mentality players. They have a lot of experience in their team. Very, very good strikers, but the midfield is good as well. And even the wingers, when I saw the games, Pelistri is very good, and one against one by Verde, so they have a lot of good players, and obviously good strikers, Nunes, Suarez, Cavani, but the defenders with experience with Godin, they're good, and they're very, very tough. It's going to be a close match, a tight match, very, very difficult match for us. And we have to challenge them, and especially physically and but also mentally to face them. Surely we have to try and dictate also a little bit our style of play, but it will be, like I said, it will be a very, very tough match.
As a football player, not a goalkeeper, I was playing, but unfortunately. Our main goalkeeper, he got injured, so my coach pushed me to be in the goal because I was the tallest among the team. So from there, I did train well, so he thinks it's better I stay in the goal than to play. So that's how it all began. Then I continued my career from Kalkudi Nima to Red Bull in Ghana, Sogakupe, and as well in Aspire project, which I continue to, to have a scholarship to study and to play as well. And from there, things change. They change so fast. So for me, it has been a long journey, and I'm really excited to be here.
Williams, Kudus, yes! It's absolutely brilliant! And Kudus and Ghana in total command here!
This is the biggest stage in football, and that has always been the dream, but when you grow up and get to this stage, you also want to leave a mark and perform in this stage. So making my debut was a dream come true, but I also wanted to leave a mark.
The journey is going on, and on Friday we have the chance to make something big, not only for us but for our families and for all Ghana.
We're all looking forward to the final game. We've been working hard off the pitch and listening to what the coach has to say, and now we're looking to bring it out in the last game.
And we are looking forward for this match. We are prepared.
And also being here in the World Cup is every boy dream to play in the big platform like this.
I believe everyone here and me myself, we approach every single game with the same mentality and the same determination. The past history is just an extra motivation to us to even go harder.
There will be a result. The team has been positive.
So from Stadium 974 to the Education City Stadium, now to Al Janoub Stadium, we are waiting to see if the Black Stars of Ghana can get the best of results from Uruguay, just so we'll be able to move to the round of 16. But back home here on the streets of Fanofa, there's Bernice, Abu-Baidoo and Quinsta standing by to give us a little preview into that game. Bernice, if you can hear me, good morning.
Girl, I mean, this is as exciting as it gets. We are seeing the Black Stars come up against Uruguay, who haven't performed too well in this tournament. So we are expecting that they'll come at us with a lot of strength, a lot of force. But hey, we have to give it to our boys on the coach. They did really well in that game against South Korea. Quinsta is here with me, and it's exciting, yeah. Ghana all the way, Ghana all the way, Ghana all the way. Hello,
go, Black Stars, go, Black Stars. 4-2, scorelines, 4-2.
Okay, Black Stars. So, this is how we do it here at the Multimedia Group. That's Sister Sandy of Adum TV. So, Quinsta, look, that game against South Korea, we went into it with a lot of confidence. Were you expecting Coach Otto-Addo to change the starting lineup compared to what we used for Portugal?
Going into the game, I think a lot of Ghanaians called for Baba Rahman to be changed ahead of that game, and I didn't expect him to make the change, but I think when he listened to Ghanaians and started the game without Baba Rahman, the introduction of Gideon Mensah did play a huge role in our squad because he brought some sense of urgency into the squad. He makes all the runs and makes sure he does all the dirty jobs for any player to get the results for the Black Stars. So I wasn't expecting it, but I was very excited when I saw it happen. And Baba Rahman, when he came in during the second half, didn't perform badly, but I think the first half thing doesn't work for him. So Coach Otto-Addo should just understand that and make sure that he does his best for the team when he's introduced during the second half. So
right, interesting. So there are a lot of talking points from that game. We'll tackle that and then we'll look forward to today's game. The South Koreans coming into the game with Ghana spoke about our weakness, which is our backside, and they did take advantage of that. Look, in the first 17 minutes, I was counting the number of corners. Within 17 minutes, South Korea had 7 corners.
Yeah.
I just could not wrap my mind around that. But we were able to hold back. We were able to keep the back together, and we ended the first half leading by 2-0.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in the second half, all of a sudden, from nowhere,
less than 5 minutes, they got 2 goals.
And I was surprised, one, and I was wondering if we could really win that game.
Yeah.
What happened?
I think the South Korean, the coach of the South Korean national team, made us understand that our weakness was our flanks, and that was the same place they got all their 2 goals from. Tariq Lamptey was there, and it was the same place they got their 2 goals from. So I believe that going into this game against Uruguay, Coach Otuado, the Uruguayan coach, has also spoken about the fact that he believes our defense is our weakness. So I like the fact that they always let us know our weakness going into.
But is that not a strategy? So that they'll have you work so hard at your and then you don't attack. Because I kind of felt like, no, these people are tricking us. There's something behind the.
No, but even if they were tricking us, I believe that what the South Koreans said came to pass, because what they got all their 2 goals from our flanks where Tariq Lamptey was. So hopefully Coach Otuado will listen, but then still map up his own strategy and then find ways to stop this Uruguay, because they just have a point. And I believe, I don't know, but for whatever reason, during tournament, the countries which will be like, for this country, they are just minnows. Anytime they get opportunity to face Ghana, they are like all out, all guns blazing, ready to kill us. So hopefully we can map up strategy that can stop everybody, whether flanks, strikers, defenders, everybody, so that we get the needed result. For this time, I think it's more than a revenge for me. We have to, it's a win or win.
Yes. I will come back to talk about the issue of vengeance. But look, we need to give it to Jordan Ayew.
Yeah, for sure.
And a lot of Ghanaians, thank you for being honest, coming out to say, Jordan, we are sorry. And that was what was trending on social media. Jordan, we are sorry. Look, the 2 goals that we scored were credited to him, because he gave the assist. Let's talk about the skill, especially in the second goal, where he literally just lifted the ball with such accuracy right to the head of Kudus.
Jordan Ayew, before the South Korean clash, personally, he has a very good record against South Korea, because I think some years back we played against them and he scored a hat-trick. So that was in his favor. And then I was happy Coach Otuado actually believed in him and made him start the game. Because sometimes, as Ghanaians, we talk a lot and we are not on the training grounds. You don't know what happens during training. So if the coach decides that this is the player I believe satisfied me during the training, so I would want to start him, we should just give him the benefits of the doubt. This time around, he introduced Jordan and he did well. He played very well against South Korea. So hopefully, if he decides to start him again today, I don't want us to go back and say we are sorry, Jordan. He should also not let us say we are sorry. Just do the job so that he didn't come back apologize.
Interesting.
Anytime he's introduced. But in that game, he did very well. So I'm glad Coach Otuado actually believed in him and then brought him.
Another player, Atizigi, our keeper. Look, there are those who say, oh, those 2 goals could have easily been caught. But let's look at the saves. Let's look at the shots that came at him with such strength and his ability to save them.
Atizigi has grown, especially in this tournament. I think he has become matured. He's becoming a better Atizigi than the one we are used to. So I'm glad he didn't let all the bashing and criticisms get to him, but then he stood up to the task and then got us what we needed. So hopefully he can improve on what he did against South Korea, and then probably we are going for this time around. Atizigi, just keep a clean sheet.
Try, please. You've got our support, at least.
Because he can. He's very capable of keeping a clean sheet for the Black Stars. So please don't let. I don't want to say man can't fool you, but yeah, keep a clean sheet against them for the Black Stars against you.
All right, and that's all for the Black Stars. So look. That game at 3 p.m. today against Uruguay. We've seen the last games for the groups. Yesterday, for example, Germany won their game. Unfortunately, they lost because Japan beat Spain. If Japan had kept it at level terms, then Germany would have had a chance. So it is all down to the last game. Look, what do you think our boys should go into this game with?
I would want them to go into the same game probably 2 times the mentality they went into the South Korea game with, because we need everything. We need them to be close to perfect in this game against Uruguay, because we can't take chances. Maybe you might think that even if we might face Brazil but we still when it gets
let's just move to the next stage.
The bridge, we'll cross it. So they have to do everything close to perfect in this game against Uruguay, because we can't afford to. No, I can't even imagine Uruguay beating us today. So we just can't afford to lose against Uruguay. Coach Otuado, we believe in you. That's why you are there with your technical team. Just make sure you go all out. Everything you have to do with the prayers and support on social media, we are doing it here. So make sure you do your job over there in Doha and get us the needed results. We have to. It's a win or win for the Black Stars, so we can't take chances.
And anytime we talk about Uruguay, you remember that unfortunate incident. And there are those who say, we shouldn't put that at the heart of this game, because then, you know, when you're too desperate for something, you're likely to go too hard and not find a balance. So we should just go into it in a relaxed manner, knowing that it's a win for us, but not necessarily putting vengeance at the back of our minds. And I think Otoado has spoken to that. There's also Luis Suarez, the man at the heart of Ghana's pain himself, saying he doesn't think he needs to apologize to us for anything, and that he got punished for it. He got a red card, and it was a Samoa's fault for not taking advantage of the penalty that he had. I mean, there's those who say in the spirit of sportsmanship, he shouldn't have spoken that way. What do you think?
I think I side with those saying he shouldn't have spoken that way, but then I don't believe he owes us an apology. Maybe after he got his hand to the ball, if we didn't get a penalty then because he prevented our ball from entering the goal, then maybe I would agree with those saying we deserve an apology. But after that, he got punished, and we got an opportunity to redeem ourselves. But then the unfortunate happened, we couldn't score a goal. So I don't think, maybe he feels another apology would be like he being punished twice because he got punished for it the first time. So an apology, I don't know, but whether he apologizes or not, I believe we are going to beat them today.
All right. We are quickly wrapping up our conversation here. We'll get interactive with you later in the show. But look, we've seen VAR, unfortunately, in this tournament. Too many criticisms. Yesterday we saw that ball against Spain when Japan took that ball, and it appeared the full circumference of it had exceeded the line, but VAR says no, it was in play before the goal came. What are your what are your concerns going into this match quickly, especially about the VAR issue, and then your predictions?
Going into this game, I don't think we don't have to leave anything to chances. At least per what we've seen, VAR can't even help you. So make sure that anytime you get the chance to score an open goal, just do so. Don't try to rely on any referee or VAR, because at least from what we've seen, we've realized referees can't help us and VAR can't help us. So we just have to put our destinies into our own hands and what we have to do to grab all 3 points this afternoon.
Your predictions?
Again, 2-0 in favor of Ghana. I think they get clean sheet.
Okay, all right. You know I stay away from predictions. I'm just wishing the Black Stars all the best. We love you guys. Go and do this for Ghana. Right, back to you in the studio, and thank you for joining us for this interaction.
Bernice and Quinsta for bringing us your own sort of review or preview to that game. We are hoping that the Black Stars of Ghana will hear you through George Addo Jr., through Gary Al Smith, through Muftar Nabila Abdullah, through Noah Adams, and even give us the very best later this afternoon. But Stephen Zando is standing by in Kumasi at the Love FM forecourt, and also we're going to reach us with how they are preparing for that game in Kumasi. Stephen, if you can hear me, good morning. This is Abigail here on the JoyNews channel.
Yeah, good morning, Abigail. Thank you very much for joining us.
Okay, do take over from here.
All right, so in Kumasi, it is not different. Just like any other parts across the country, the agenda is simple. The anticipation level for this particular game is really on the high because Ghanaians have not forgotten what happened on 2nd July 2010 at the Soccer City in Johannesburg, South Africa, when Uruguay booted the Black Stars of Ghana out of the 2010 FIFA World Cup. In fact, yesterday in Luis Suarez's pre-match conference, he said he doesn't feel sorry and that he's not going to apologize to Ghanaians. Well, I have personally engaged some Ghanaians who tell me that, well, that's not a problem if Suarez doesn't feel sorry at all. And they are confident the likes of Kudus Mohammed, Inaki Williams, Captain Andrea Yu, Thomas Partey will make sure that the Black Stars of Ghana win today and make Suarez feel sorry indeed in there. So it's a big day for Ghana football because the Black Stars of Ghana are on the brink of qualifying to the next stage of the FIFA World Cup taking place in Qatar. I need to speak to some Ghanaians, and Fifi Manfred is, with the sports desk of Love FM and Insure FM. Let me engage him briefly before I move on to other Ghanaians who just joined me here for this live broadcast. Fifi, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning, Steve. I'm good. Yourself?
So for you, is this a revenge or any other fixture on any other day?
I think that essentially the biggest thing is Ghana needs to qualify. So the Black Stars and the team would have to focus on qualification and get it. But essentially on the mind of every other Ghanaian, every Ghanaian would want to get revenge most importantly. So yes, revenge, fine. But in the job and the most important thing is to get 3 points and qualify.
Now you are an analyst, you prefer to look at it from the tactical point of view. What approach are you expecting from Otuado into this game against Uruguay?
If you are looking at the Uruguayan team under under Diego Alonso, it's a team that shifted from the regular flat 4-4-2 that the former Oscar Tabarez was playing. Now it's a 4-2-2-2, a variation of that with some inverted wingers from out wide. So Pelistri, Valverde playing there. So we also need to come up and match those numbers on the wide areas. We need to be very resolute at the back. And I suspect that the Uruguayans will target attacking our fullbacks. So in the game against South Korea, I realized in the second half, our fullbacks will majorly targeted. So we should watch that, be very resolute in terms of set pieces, and then of course win the midfield battle, because I think that we have the technical players to control the ball, keep possession on the ball, retain the ball, circulate the ball a lot, and of course control possession. Once we do that, we'll have a lot of openings and definitely we'll get a win.
Now if you look at the setup of the Uruguayans, I mean they have a lot of old players in there, Diego Gordon, Luis Suarez, Edison Cavani and the likes, and the Black Stars of Ghana presented the youngest team at this year's World Cup. Do you think that the Black Stars of Ghana will take advantage of this youthful exuberance in the team against Uruguay today?
Yeah, I think it's the biggest weakness of the Uruguayan team, the age of Godin, Muslera, Suarez, Cavani, Casares. These are old guys, but then they are still huge members of the team, especially for Godin. At his age, he was one of them in terms of playing long minutes for the Uruguayan team in terms of qualification. So then again, that's something that we need to take advantage of. We need to be more aggressive, and we've run a lot of kilometers. We look at the FIFA report that has come now. We need to do that. We need to target the weakness of the Uruguayan team. Once we do that, I think definitely we can get something out of this game.
And in 2 matches, the Black Stars of Ghana have conceded 5 goals. In the game against Portugal, we conceded 2 goals within 3 minutes. It happened, in the game against South Korea. In 3 minutes, we conceded 2 goals. As a tactical analyst, what is accounting for this, and what can we do to avoid a repeat of that?
I think the game of football is a momentous one. Once you play football, you realize that it's a 90 minutes game essentially. But at the end of the day, it's in the moment. The players need to be very much focused at every moment of the game, at every point in time in the game. They need to be switched on. At the highest level, once you switch off, you get punished. And like you said, Portugal, South Korea, we get switched off and we get punished. On the other side, the Uruguayans have not scored in this World Cup. They are the only team here to score. So it means that they would want to come all guns blazing. They would want to get this team out this game. They know that we have at the back of our minds that we want a revenge. If you want a revenge, it's easy for you to lose focus. Keep focused, be very, very switched on, play according to the game plan, and then of course make sure that we win this game. Whether you guys scores or not, let's win and qualify, most important.
Exactly. So if we win, we are through to the next stage of the competition, but a draw will not be bad for us, depending on the result in the other game between South Korea and Portugal. So lastly with me here, what is your prediction for this particular game?
I think that I don't want to be drawn into that, but essentially I think that it's a Ghana win. We want it more. It's at the time that we need to win. You can feel it here in Kumasi and everywhere. It's a game that we have the players to, we have the men. I like the confidence, the telepathy, the relationship in camp, and it looks like the players are all in tune to what we need to do. It's a must win for Ghana. I think we'll get it by 5 p.m. Ghana time today.
Thank you very much. That was my colleague with me here at Love FM and Insure FM, Fifi Manfred, coming through with his take. Now let me speak to some Ghanaians who have also joined me here to ask to have a take on the game between the Black Stars of Ghana and Uruguay today. Please, good morning.
Morning.
Your name?
My name is Steven.
Steven.
Yeah.
So, Black Stars versus Uruguay today. What are you expecting from the Black Stars?
Oh, I'm expecting the Black Stars of Ghana to win this game because it's most important for all Ghanaians. Because if you remember, the last time Black Stars of Ghana met Uruguay somewhere 2010, and the game was 1-1 at the 90 minutes, and we go to the extra time. The extra time, we draw the game and go to the penalties. And the Black Stars of Ghana, we defeated. And this is the time we are going to meet again. So what I will tell the boys is they should play very hard. And they shouldn't go into the game and relax. They should be serious, because this is the game all Ghanaians are expecting them to do their best. Because if you win this game, we are going to the next stage of the competition. Yeah. So we need the 3 points to qualify. And if you do that, it will help them. Because don't forget that Portugal has 6 points. Yeah. So if you get the 3 points, it will help the boys to get the qualification easier. Yeah. Because South Korea also expecting to win the game against Portugal. So if you win the game against Uruguay, already we have qualified. Yeah. We are not going to do any mathematics over there. So we are telling Coach Otado to warn the boys and the technical team, all of them, to do their best, because today is today. Okay. Because the last time Asamoah took the penalty and he missed it, because I remember most of Ghanaians lost their life and so many things happen. So this is the time you have to do something for Ghana.
Okay, lastly, I mean, as a Ghanaian, based on what you have seen of the Black Stars in Qatar against Portugal, South Korea, are you confident we will win today?
Oh, if you compare our game to Portugal and South Korea, even in Portugal, if it's not a referee, at least Ghana will win that game or we draw the game. But due to the referee controversies, that's why Ghanaians lost that game. And due to South Korea game, we played very hard. And all of us know that the boys did very well. And this is the time I believe that they will play very well and win this game for Ghana.
All right, thank you very much for joining me. More Ghanaians are joining me for this live broadcast from the forecourt of Love FM here in Kumasi. And they are resident of Kumasi. Please, good morning. What's your name?
My name is Jonas Jojo Agbagolo.
Okay, Jonas, thank you very much. So the Black Stars of Ghana are playing Uruguay later today in the last fixture in Group H. First of all, what are you expecting from the Stars today?
Today I'm expecting them to win for me. I know that definitely we're going to win about 2 goals. My hope is that if you win, definitely we are going to get a trophy.
And what is making you this confident? What have you seen of the Black Stars? Is it individual talent in the team? What is making you this confident?
Okay, for now that I know that there's a unity coming toward the Black Star. At first I see that there's separation, but now the unity is working very hard.
Okay, so this guy feels that there's unity in the Black Stars camp, and that is why he thinks the Black Stars of Ghana will, triumph over, Uruguay later today at the Awakra Stadium. Now, let me engage more Ghanaians here who are joining me for this live broadcast. And of course, I need to speak to this gentleman. Yeah, I think this is going to be our last one. Abigail, before you take over. Yeah, so good morning. What's your name?
Good morning, I'm Nana Abuache.
Okay, thank you very much, Nana Abuache. I mean, Ghana versus Uruguay. Quick one. What are you expecting of the Stars today?
Today, I'm actually expecting Ghana to come out with victory. I've always said that we should not take this to be a revenge match. We should actually be going in with a mindset of winning against Uruguay. They've been our most wanted rivals. We want them actually, and then we've had them. So we have to prove them wrong. We have to make sure that they pay for what they did. But then let's not go in with a mindset of seeking revenge. Revengeance we have to seek revenge from God, So let's seek revenge from God. But I'm hoping that the Black Stars, through unity and then through the tactical game of Coach Otuado, we are going to come out successful.
Thank you very much, Nana Abuachi. So far, I've engaged some Ghanaians, and these guys are really confident the Black Stars of Ghana will win against Uruguay today. Don't forget that if you win, we are through to the knockout stage of the FIFA World Cup. My name is Stephen Izando from the forecourt of Love FM here in Kumasi.
Stephen, for bringing us thoughts of many Ghanaians in that part of the country. But it's all joy across the country, because I know we all would want to see the Black Stars succeed and make it to the last round, the knockout stages of the competition. But this has been an extensive edition of Sports Radio on the AM show. My name is Abigail Sanasosu. Thank you very much for joining us here. We are back with more bulletin during the day.
Welcome back on the AM show. Most definitely, we're repping the gold, green, black, and red of the Ghana flag. Today, we're hoping that as we lock horns with Uruguay, we beat them. But from there, let's talk about other matters that really affect our lives. Today, as I deliver my blunt thoughts, I've titled it, Our Economy in Shambles, Our Agriculture in Limbo, and Our MPs in Qatar. The never-ending madness we have to contend with. Ghana for the IMF team is back in town. Stéphane Roudet, the head of the team, says his outfit is here to help Ghana's economy bounce back and for some stability to be restored. Well, we're trying as a country to prevail over Uruguay as we lock horns with them today. But as we engage the IMF a 17th time? Do we have what it takes to convince this outfit that we deserve a $3 billion bailout? And more importantly, can we position ourselves, should we get it, in such a way that we do not come back to the same point again? These are questions we all should carefully reflect on as a people. Look, this government has added on so many tax handles from the 2023 budget, from increased VAT, the removal of the threshold for mobile money transactions, and the introduction of additional withholding tax on gains from assets and liabilities, to the reversal of benchmark values and more. Our cumulative VAT will now stand at 21%, the highest in Africa. Why? What crime has the ordinary Ghanaian committed? Do our leaders ever learn, I ask? Take a good look at the e-levy, for example. Revenue from quarters 1 to 3 revealed that we raked in only a paltry 319 million Ghana cedis. Our revised revenue target for the entire year is now 594 million Ghana cedis, which is just 8.5% of the initial target of 6.9 billion Ghana cedis. This has forced the establishment to adjust the e-levy's revenue target downwards at least 4 times this year alone. The e-levy is now the worst performing tax handle in its subgroup, that is, taxes on domestic goods and services, yet we're still refusing to learn. Come with me. Look at this right here. Maize prices are set to go up in March 2023. In the midst of all this, maize prices are going up. Do you know what that means for agric inputs using maize as feed for animals? Do you know what that means from northern to southern Ghana, as most of our meals use maize? How can the price of a major staple be so high and be looking at going even higher? But look at the second slide. It gets even worse. The fact that our policy rate is now perched at 27%. Do you have any idea what constraints that puts on borrowing from banks for business? Businesses are already folding up by the day. While hiking the policy rate has its benefits, I agree, it's also costing us so much, and the very entities we hope to rake in taxes from are dying off. Let's go to our third slide. Now, if you look at that, you see where our debt stock stands, and you look at how much each Ghanaian owes. In addition to all that, our debt stock is now over 450 billion Ghana cedis, and just keeps complicating matters even more. In fact, each Ghanaian today, like you see here, owes 15,000 Ghana cedis, considering our debt stock. Yes, some will say other countries have a far higher debt stock and breakdown when it comes to how much each person owes. That's so to speak. Yet the question to be asked is, how we compare to these economies in real terms of human development, job creation, technological advancement, and projects that are self-sponsoring over time. Over here, we often borrow merely for consumption, and then we want to compare ourselves to which countries again? Take Israel, for example. In 2019, our total debt stock as Ghanaians stood at $42.77 billion, with each Ghanaian owing the equivalent then of 1,417 cedis, dollars, 68 pence. In that same year, Israel's debt stock stood at $239.83 billion, and their individual debt, when calculated, stood at some 26,489.64 American dollars. But you tell me, is there any way, shape, or form in which we could have then or now compare ourselves to Israel in economic terms? That is why we should stop ranting foolishly and get to work. And speaking of getting to work, while the debate for a budget that could lift us or sink us as a people goes on, a number of our members of parliament find it apt to travel to watch football in Qatar. Wow. Even the Minister of Finance is not in town to sit through the debates. He may be in Germany on national assignment. But are we saying when we planned the date for the budget's presentation that we were not aware of those circumstances? What a sham and a crying shame. We are debates, and out of 137 majority MPs, you count only 37 on the floor. Hey! There's also this rhetoric, some very cheap talk that is becoming pretty popular here, especially among government operatives and blind supporters of the regime, that these ratings agencies like Fitch, Moody's, and S&P are biased towards African countries. Let's be clear. Don't fall into that racial trap on this. These ratings agencies would have lost their credibility a long time ago if they had conducted their activities in such a manner. Most of our African governments, like our own, are simply wailing over their own fiscal failures and general management inefficiencies. Now, there's talk of an African institution to do same for us. All well and good. My only hope, that we do not paint a pretty picture when the skies are actually gloomy. That we do not tickle ourselves into economic disaster on the continent because we fail to swallow the bitter pill and do some actual work to alleviate the plight of our poor. In Ghana today, As shared by Professor Gottfried Bockman, over 14 million of our population, that is some 45%, are multidimensionally poor. If you consider World Bank data that suggests over 1 million Ghanaians have fallen into poverty this year, then you realize where we should be focusing our attention. Alas, our leaders are busy in Parliament scoring political points and determining who the Harry Maguires and Romelu Lukakus of our political sphere are, instead of working on the festering issues that torment the ordinary Kofi and Amma daily right here. But just to clarify matters further in respect of these ratings agencies, they have standards and meet processes that they have to follow. When your economy shows certain telltale signs, they factor those into their assessments of your credit worthiness or otherwise. It's that simple. To use some concrete examples of same applied very recently to European entities, we know, for example, that on February 4, 2012, CNN Money reported how Moody's had cut the credit ratings of 6 European countries amid anxiety over the continent's debt crisis and its sluggish economy. Italy, Malta, Portugal, Slovakia, Slovenia, and Spain were all downgraded, while 3 other countries, Austria, France, and the United Kingdom, had the outlook on their then AAA ratings changed to negative. Ratings for Italy and Spain sat at A2 and A1 respectively, while Portugal was rated Ba2 with all negative outlooks. In March 2022, ratings agencies Fitch and Moody's downgraded Russia's sovereign risk by 6 notches, reducing it to junk status. According to Moody's, for example, when it downgraded Russia, it stated its position as follows, quote, it's a bit of a lengthy quote. The reported statement from the NSD on the non-payment of coupons on domestic government debt to non-resident investors, citing the CBR order prohibiting payments to non-residents, materially increases Moody's concerns around Russia's willingness and ability to pay. The escalating military invasion, the acceleration in the imposition of sanctions on Russia to include the most severe forms that Moody's had outlined previously, as well as the unpredictable actions that the government had undertaken in response to those sanctions, have, in Moody's view, significantly increased the risk of a default occurring. The rating of CA is consistent with Moody's expectation that the recovery for investors will be in line with the historical average for sovereigns in default. The high degree of coordination among Western countries to impose wide-ranging sanctions on Russia in response to the invasion of Ukraine has materially impaired Russia's ability to ensure timely repayment of its sovereign debt obligations. Restrictions on some Russian banks' access to the financial messaging system SWIFT, coupled with the direct sanctioning of large state-owned banks and the CBR, will effectively block these institutions from participating in the global financial system and make it exceptionally difficult for them to engage in international transactions. Given compliance risks, non-Russian institutions will be very reluctant to deal with sanctioned and likely also non-sanctioned entities within Russia. These restrictions on Russia's ability to execute its sovereign debt payments compound already significant concerns around Russia's willingness to service its debt. I had to just take time to go through all of this with you to make you realize that these things are not done simply out of someone's head. In November this year, global credit ratings agency Moody's downgraded its outlook for banks in Germany, Italy, and 4 other countries to negative from stable on as far as Europe's energy crisis and high inflation weakened its economies. The downgrade also affected banking sectors in the Czech Republic, Hungary, Poland, and Slovakia, and Moody's said the grouping included those most at risk of energy price inflation and possible energy rationing. These Ghana 4, you see, are not decisions that are taken lightly or taken with a certain regional tincture. So let us stop playing the victim and work to fix our economies instead. Zambia has gone for an IMF package, yes, but it was proactive. It commenced the painful journey of debt restructuring even before it got its IMF bailout. As it stands now, things are looking much better for them. Inflationary numbers have tumbled and the Zambian kwacha has a new lease of life. Why not us too? Every which way you look, wahala day for the ordinary man. Stay with me as I go through these slides. If you look here, right before I conclude, you would see what our Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, has been telling us. Indeed, our stock of debt has increased by 93 billion Ghana cedis this year alone due to the depreciation of the cedi since the beginning of 2022. Now, who caused the depreciation of the cedi? If you look at the cedi's depreciation losses, 93 billion Ghana cedis, the equivalent of $7 billion, is what has been added to our debt stock just by depreciation alone. And yet, look at how much we are going to the IMF for. 3 billion, 4 billion less than the value. So stabilizing a cedi alone, or failing to do so, has cost us this much, 4 billion in excess of what we are looking for. When you look at the January 2022 figures, and this is, for those of you who have been watching this segment, Some months back, I think in September, I shared with you a friend who is taking a program at the London Dental Institute and has to pay £750 a month. She was paying from around 7,000. It had shot up to around 8,500 thereabouts. She was paying an extra 1,500 Ghana cedis. But look at the difference now. Look at what she has to pay. So as of January, £750 was equivalent to, sticking to the Bank of Ghana rates, I'm not using the Abochi rate, 6,000 Ghana cedis. Now, as of November 2022, £750, even using the Bank of Ghana rate, not the street rate, 12,000 Ghana cedis. That's an increment of 6,000 Ghana cedis. How do you expect people to cope? In terms of the initial revenue projections for the e-levy, I've already taken you through them. Provisionally, what we had in mind, this was the initial projection. We came down to under 5 billion, and this is the outturn so far. But I mentioned that I was going to talk about agriculture as well. There's something interesting happening to us. We have 1D1F, we have planting for food and jobs, and yet it appears when it comes to our exports, they're only becoming more. We are not able to produce enough to take care of ourselves here. We have planting for food and jobs, we have 1D1F. What exactly is happening? If you look at the data, the breakdown, and the breakdowns, we have crops, cocoa, livestock, forestry, logging, and fishing. You would realize from the trajectory that according to data, we have seemingly been increasing for a while, since 2014. But when you look at the first half of 2021 and you make the comparison to the first half of 2022, you see a problem, glaring problem. Look at the production average, first half 2021, when it comes to agriculture overall, 8.9%. When you look at 2022, it's fallen by 4 percentage points to 4.9%. When you break down to crops, look at how much we were looking at, 10.2%, now it's 4.5%. When you look at cocoa, 10.4%, now it's 1.6%, first half, 2021 to 2022. When you look at livestock, that is another area of concern, at least another place where we are seeing a marginal increment, 5.6 to 5.7. So for that place, we have seen some increment. But forestry and logging, and what figure you see here could be on the back of Galamsey as well. Look at that. 6.2%. We are now in negative territory, negative 0.4%. And finally, fishing, and this could also be on the back of the closed season. Here we have a positive. It's moved from negative 0.1% to 15.9%, which is a plus. But when you look at all the other metrics, we are not faring well. And the question is, why? Look at these dynamics in terms of planting for food and jobs. And this is how I'll wrap. If you look at how much we've been investing, it's been incremental. Look at the trajectory. We've been spending more and more on planting for food and jobs. Yet where are the dividends? How does that cushion us? In 2018, 400 million Ghana cedis. It dipped slightly in 2019, 380 million Ghana cedis. In 2020, 400 million. In 2021, 439 million Ghana cedis. It shot up to 614 million, or at least that is the figure for this year, 2022. And the projection in 2023 is 660 million Ghana cedis. Yet what do we have to show? Like the Israeli example I cited, we can compare ourselves with these countries. Our debt stock is this, and theirs is that, and borrowing is not a problem. The problem is how much you have to show, what you have to show. When you invest in a bank, you want to see dividends, right? So, Mr. President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, ministers of state, members of parliament, members of the Council of State, fellow Ghanaians, where we find ourselves now as a people is beyond crisis. There is a saying attributed to Sir Winston Churchill that if you're going through hell, keep going. In this hellish case we find ourselves burdened with, though, the way forward only seems worse for the ordinary man, woman, and child. Fuel prices are going down a bit. True, we thank government for that. But nothing else has changed or is changing. The prices of products are still what they are. We need real leadership, real change, real direction, and real action. Not tomorrow, but today. As I've told you time and again, Mr. President, the time to act is now. For tomorrow may be too late. My name is Benjamin Akakpo. I say all these things because I am extremely passionate about Amagana and what her future, intricately tied to ours, holds. These are my blunt thoughts served for you this morning, raw, hot, unedited, and undiluted. God richly bless our motherland and make her great and strong.
Hello, thank you so much for staying on the AM show. Just gone by. Blunt Thoughts with Benjamin Akakpo, really thought-provoking. Well, water is life. It regulates your body temperature and keeps you alive and kicking. Awake is premium purified water treated through a strict purification process to ensure that every bottle on the market refreshes you better. We have the perfect sizes for all occasions. 330 ml and 500 ml bottles to fit your pockets and bags, 750 ml for the heavy drinkers, and 1.5 liters for those who always want more. We've introduced our special 19-liter jar for offices and homes. Now you just need to stay awake with Awake purified drinking water wherever you go. Come on, grab a bottle of Awake water and get quality hydration. Awake purified drinking water, one for life. Remember, for every bottle you purchase, an amount is donated to the National Cardiothoracic Center, produced by Kasapreko. For bulk purchase, please call 026 2351 251. This advert is FDA approved. Welcome to the show once again. I'm Bernice, Abu-Baidoo, Lansah. And as we celebrate farmers today, we'd like to share with you how some basic school pupils are engaged in what they call grow what you eat. Now, these little farmers, as I choose to call them, also share with us the challenges they encountered sowing and nurturing their crops and how they overcame them. Teach the children in the way they should go, and when they grow, they will not depart from it. Here at the McCarthy Hill School, grow what you eat is essential to the upbringing of the child. Every year, the pupils are giving seedlings. They are taken through how to plant, nurture, and harvest them. The students had to share their projects with their parents and guests. This is class 2B, and they're just running us through what they planted. They tell you when they planted on the 30th, tell you about the plants they grew, watermelon being a refreshing fruit. They tell us their names, know your farmers, and you can see pictures of them there attending to their watermelon. And then you see here one of the farmers pointing to the germination, and then you see the final fruits here in our
The presentation on yellow bell peppers and yellow habanero peppers. Thank you.
Yellow bell peppers come from the pepper family, also known as the capsicum family, and its scientific name is Capsicum annum. It is native in Mexico, Central America, and North and South America. In other parts of the world, yellow bell pepper grows best during the spring and summer season, whilst in Ghana, it grows well during the month of September to the month of November, and we are lucky to have planted it in the month of September. We planted yellow bell pepper because it contains some required nutrients to enable our body to grow well, and it also takes a short period of time for it to grow, which is 60 to 90 days.
Habanero peppers, their origin takes us deep into the family of capsicum, alongside the yellow bell peppers. They can be found in the species of Capsicum chinense, and they are most grown in Amazon and Mexico. Their season for growth in the Western world is midsummer, but here in Ghana, their season is dry season, which is mostly from November to the ending of April. Habanero pepper has some good nutrients that are essential for our body, which are namely potassium, vitamin A, vitamin C, folate, fiber, and iron.
There are some SDG goals that relate to we grow what we eat, and our class have chosen goal number 12, which is responsible consumption and production.
As we all know, the theme for this year's We Grow What We Eat is reducing interdependency. And to do that, we need to produce responsibly and consume responsibly. You know, a lot of people think of only consuming things from the Western world. We don't really think of producing here in Ghana. But till we grow what we eat, that will be solved.
I know, not to say I'm sure, I know you've learned a lot growing your seeds, growing in the garden, watching your plants grow. So you've all learned a lot, and well done. Well done to yourselves and your teachers who helped you achieve this. I think you need a round of applause.
Parents and guests were given a tour of the garden.
So you planted both tomatoes and peppers. So the tomato is for year 2.
It's really exciting here seeing the kids planting their own crops, nurturing them till the point of harvest. It just tells you that there's a lot of effort that is going into helping these children grow what they eat. Well, Selassie joins me. She is one of the administrators here at the McCarthy Hill School, and she's just going to run us through what we are seeing. A really beautiful concept here. What exactly do we see here, and who owns all these plants?
Right, so before I say anything about what we're seeing here, basically at the McCarthy Hill School, the goal is to make sure that learning is not confined to the four walls, so not the classroom. So we make sure that for everything that a child learns, they have seen it, touched it, smelled it at least. And so basically when it came to talking about plants, they need to grow, especially in times like this, when costs are shooting up and all. We have a school garden. It's a petting zoo as well. So the goal was that why don't we get our pupils to plant and then grow what we eat. And so we had our classes come together. We got them flower beds, and so each class is responsible for a certain group of beds. They were given seedlings, planted them out, and this is the result.
Beautiful.
Yes.
This is a young girl here who's standing by her class's bed, and they planted garden eggs, and you can already see there. I mean, not fully matured, but it's just exciting, you know, especially like Selassie said, in these times, and we know that parents have been complaining a lot, so it's just good if a child can say, Mommy, I can help you out, you know, this is what I learned in school. So what exactly do they do, and how does it work out when they plant? I can see garden beans there, I can see green pepper as well. How exactly do they nurture these plants?
So every year we have this, just before Farmers Day, we work towards our own program, We Grow What We Eat. And so we start prepping them ahead of time. We always bring planting experts to come talk to them about how to go about planting, transplanting, you know, the technical stuff. And once that is set up, they are able to move on to actually doing it with their class teacher supervision. So classes are given allocated portions in the farm, and they have to water them. And so some classes decide to allocate specific people, so they do shifts, they run shifts. You do it in the morning, I'll do it later in the day, and so on and so forth. They watch their plants grow. When they encounter problems, we want them to solve their own problems. So with their class teachers, they talk about what they've discovered or observed. They try to research and find ways they can solve their problems, and that's the results. And so it's been a hard couple of months, but we are really, really proud of the outcome.
Right. I've seen a parent here who was actually signaling that she was interested in that. So for those of you, is this what we call kwewu suswe?
Yes.
Okay. So this is usually used for palm nut soup and other local dishes, and I hear it's very rich in iron and helps you if you need blood. So there are also aubergines here. Is this your son?
Yes, my son.
Can I talk to him?
Yes. He drew my attention that they've grown cherry tomato, and I asked him what will it be used for. He said to do ketchup.
Okay.
Aha. So
hello, what's your name?
Eric.
Eric, tell me, I mean, are you the one who planted that, you and your friends?
Yes.
Are you excited to see it grow?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me, when you come to school, how do you take care of the plants?
I water them every day.
Okay, so this is a watering can. Just show me how you do it.
And
take it. Just show us how you.
Okay.
Right. And you go to the plant. And you pour it. How old are you?
6.
6. This is really exciting for you, ma'am. May I find out your name?
My name is Cynthia Kwabi.
Cynthia, how do you feel? I mean, you're here today to look at what the children, including yours, have been doing the entire term. How does it make you feel?
I feel excited. I think it's an opportunity for the children to learn how to grow some of these things at home. Because, if we teach the children how to farm, they'll grow to learn how to do it and enjoy doing it. Because for some time now, most of our kids think farming is for the less privileged. But now I think farming will help them to have a job on hand when they finish school, so that the education will not be only the classroom based, but also on the field. I was really surprised when he showed me cherry tomato.
Cherry tomato. Let's go and look at the cherry tomatoes, because I can see it there.
It's growing.
It's growing. It's not ready yet, but you can still see that the plant is maturing, is growing, and there's some chili pepper here as well, which is
chili peppers that are already grown. And I think it's just left to be ripe and we are good to go. Yeah.
So how are you hoping to translate what your son has learned, at home?
We have flower pots at home, but I never thought of growing these things. We were only thinking flowers all the time. So I think this is an opportunity for them to grow some of these plants at home in the flower pot, for it to germinate, for us to stop buying things from the market.
Really excited that you could talk to us.
Excited about the chicken as well. Anyway, they have 4 that they have grown, so I think they are doing well, and the school is also doing well to bring the children up to speed with current issues.
We appreciate that you could talk to us. Oh, hello, ma'am. What's your name, please?
My name is Joanna Mamotri.
Okay, I guess you're a parent, am I right?
I am.
How do you feel seeing all you're seeing today?
Oh, well, I'm so excited. I mean, this is unbelievable. I mean, I'm very happy about what I've seen.
Which of the things here fascinated you the most?
The bell peppers, I have to be honest, because I tried my hands on them myself and I didn't get any. So I'm so excited seeing that the kids have actually triumphed, with that one. So that's what excites me the most. The fish farm, everything, yeah.
So listening to the teachers and talking to the administrators, there's a bigger goal here to help the children understand the concept of farming, practicalize it, and also grow what they eat. So how are you hoping to extend this in more practical ways in your home?
Truth is, COVID actually ushered us into that arena. My kids have been here for over 6 years now. So COVID, we also had this grow what you eat activity, and then I got the kids to plant tomatoes and then lettuce, cabbage, carrots, and all that, and they showcased it, and the school was so excited about the fact that we had gotten into that. We also got into poultry, farming, so we actually do it at home as well, and the kids always partake in the activities. Exciting. For over 5 months, for some time, I don't buy tomatoes. It's harvest from my garden eggs, a whole lot. So.
Kudos to you. I mean, this is exciting. I mean, it's exciting as it gets, and I'm sure some of you are picking a cue, 1 or 2. But the good thing is, like I mentioned, we are not only planting crops, we're also rearing animals. I'm sure you make room in your house for that as well. Oh, you do have birds? Oh, wow.
Just one sad thing. Anytime we kill them, I mean, the kids get so emotional because they give them names and they would not eat any chicken anymore, but buy from outside, they'll eat. They don't want the organically red one.
They get attached to the animals, that's the thing. But I mean, that's another hurdle to cross. But thank you so much for speaking to us. So there you have it. These are the chicken, 4 of them. There are 2 ducks here. And so what the kids kids do is to get a hands-on experience with all these planting, farming, and agric techniques. Another parent here with us, Mrs. Odum, and she's just going to tell us how she feels about what she's experienced today. Good morning to you, ma'am.
Good morning.
What about this whole experience has excited you the most?
Okay, so as a parent, you think about the issues happening around, and then you ask yourself, do you join people to complain, or you rather join to provide solutions? So this goes beyond the school for me. In the home we do this, so it's exciting to know that in the school this is also enforced, because in the home when we do this, the kids are excited. When they wake up, everybody is going to see if, for example, if we nurse the plant, the seeds, they want to see if it has sprouted. And then we have some close to their bed, the sense of responsibility, the excitement and everything. It really makes you feel you are living for a purpose, and it makes you certain that generations to come you've made a positive impact in a small way.
How do you think we can extend this to children, other children across the country?
Okay, I would be excited if in our educational system this would be mandatory. I remember when we were little, or when we were young, this was done as part of the agri courses that we used to do. So it's not just the reading, but it being practical. Yeah. So educational system, yes. Parents, I feel we have to, and probably with the government, they should make it like a compulsory or something for parents to plant something, and there should be some green in every household. This will go a long way.
Thank you so much for speaking to us. If I may ask, what class was your child in? Did they win a prize?
They didn't win a prize. I have 5 boys in the school. So that makes it very exciting to know the 5 will go out there to make a positive impact, that what they are learning will go a long way. Yeah.
Hard work pays, doesn't it? Well, prizes were given to the best classes. The second runners-up were Year 5B. First runners-up, Year 2B.
Watermelon, watermelon, on the vine, sweet and red and juicy, sweet and red and juicy. Please be mine, please be mine, yay!
And the ultimate went to Year 6B. Well, I caught up with them. Here's our interaction.
So we planted green chili peppers, and our challenges were people kept eating and taking our chili peppers, and one of our chili pepper stem had bent and broken, and then a fowl had come to eat some.
Oh, so but I saw the the chili peppers in the garden, and they're doing so well. Can anyone tell us what you did to make them grow so beautifully?
So for the first day we planted them, we added some compost to the soil so the plants could get more nutrients as they grow. We didn't add any more compost to it because we felt like the compost was enough, and we watered it once in 2 days so that the soil could dry before we add a new batch of water.
Right, okay. So what else has been your experience, in this whole process from planting to nurturing to seeing your chili peppers mature?
Okay, so every morning we check up on our plants, and when we see something new we jot it down, and it has just been great seeing our plants grow.
How did you feel when it was announced that your class won? Okay, you can. Okay, let me start this way. How did you feel?
I felt really happy and excited.
I saw you jumping actually.
Yeah.
And how did you feel?
At first I felt nervous, and then later my heart started just jumping.
Congratulations to you. How did you feel?
I felt like all my hard work has finally been paid.
Right. Anybody else wants to tell me how they felt? Okay.
I felt surprised.
All right.
I felt so lovely.
Okay.
I felt happy.
Happy?
At first, when they were doing the drama, I felt nervous. I was like, well, are we going to win? Are we going to lose? Until they are now 6B, and I was screaming. My heart was flying.
All right, so what made you feel that you were going to win?
About the chili pepper, because most of the plants weren't that strong, so I felt
good. And when it was announced, how did you feel?
I felt happy.
All right. Anybody wants to tell me how you felt? Sorry. Do you want to tell me how you felt?
I felt surprised.
I felt happy.
You were happy. All right. You want to say something?
I was going to say something about how we thought we were going to win, but...
Okay, so why do you think that your class was going to win? Why were you confident about it?
Because it took a lot of time and effort for our chili pepper to grow, and all the hard work we did should have really paid off.
Listen to the judges share their thoughts on the Grow What You Eat program.
Considering where we are in the world, all the concerns about the possibility of hunger and food shortage, how does this make you feel?
It gives me hope, actually. It was really nice to see all the children getting so worked up and learning about how to grow their own food and doing work in the gardens and even bringing it home to their parents and talking about it and spread the knowledge on how to grow your own food and be self-sustainable. So it's really nice to see the work the school did, and in terms of reaching the SDGs and making the kids reflect on it. And yes, so I have hope.
So the SDGs are at the heart of this, trying to end hunger. Of course, we don't like to talk about the fact that the Russian-Ukraine war has had some impact, not only on Ghana, but we know that they're a major exporter of grains to other parts of the world. So it just brings into perspective how some of these current world events point us to the fact that we must begin to do things on our own. Even though we are a global village, we must begin to look at sustainability as independent countries. Kofi, how do we extend this concept to the rest of the country, encouraging children to get involved in growing what they eat?
So basically, how we can spread it is like one of the mandates of my office, the Ghana Commission for UNESCO. So we have the Aspinet schools and UNESCO clubs. So the clubs are in the universities, the secondary schools, the communities, and the Aspinet schools are from basic level, that's from the KG to JHS 3. So one of the mandates we have been given, and as you notice here today, we are doing is, we've given the door to each and every individual who wishes to be part of us. Formally, what you do is you need to write to our office telling us you would want to join. We would come to your school, give you a formal introduction and an orientation as to how you can join. Because one thing I would say about the whole program is the little ones were rather telling us what we need to do. You know, it gives us that hope, as Sarah said, because if the little ones are giving you the idea that these are the right steps to take, then it means that we have a future. Because right now, at least I've been challenged to start up a garden myself. So I know each and everyone watching us today, you are also being challenged to also start planting something for yourself. And at least we will go a long way to help the world and Ghana as a whole.
What about this whole event excited you the most?
The event, I would say, when they started giving me the challenges they had and how they solved them. Because you know, there was the sense of critical thinking in what the kids were doing, telling me they could go on Google just to find out why their plants were not growing and how to, you know, help the plants to grow. It just gave me that hope we have a better future for our kids.
And thank you for being a part of this. I appreciate that you could talk to us. So we move on with our conversation, and let me speak to the headmistress of the school. Everyone calls her Auntie Lydia. Hello, Auntie Lydia. It's been really exciting today. The judges, the parents, even for the children themselves. I'm just excited by what I'm seeing here. We've been to the garden. We've seen the plants that the children and the pupils planted. We've also seen the animals. But tell us exactly what we are seeing here.
So this is our sensory garden, specifically placed in front of our preschool block. because as you know, the little kids, they learn mainly with their senses. So we created a sensory garden here made up of a lot of herbs so that the kids can apply and use their senses. So tasting, these are all safe plants. They taste to feel, get a sense of the different taste, and then they see, looking at it, different shapes, the leaves, the colors and all that. So that is what this is all about. They have large leaves, big leaves, small leaves. The flowers, sometimes they are white, they are purple, but it's just to create, at the McCarthy Hill School, one of our goals is to make sure that kids enjoy learning, to have a fun way of learning. And one other thing is you can see that we've used tires, car tires. It's just to let them draw an awareness or create an awareness that we can reuse some of these things to reduce the waste that, is taken away by the waste company. So a lot of times we try to create these things. The colors are here, the ties, they can see the colors. So they learn, when they come out here, they learn. And it's their responsibility to water it. So the classes take turns in watering.
The little ones?
The little ones.
2 years?
This is from 3 months and above. So even those who can't walk, the teachers carry them with we have watering cans, very tiny ones, but just to create the fun, And when they go home, a lot of times parents who do not follow what we do in school, when the kids come home, they see beans in the kitchen, they want to keep it in a cup, and some of the parents are saying, what are you doing? But later when we explain to them that these are some of the things we are doing in school, they catch the vision and then they also support us in all we do.
So what's the big dream? What do you hope to achieve with this policy of grow what you eat?
And basically, it is an aspect of the Sustainable Development Goals. As an abstinence school, one of the things we are supposed to do is to teach the children, but not just to teach for them to memorize what the goals are. Now, at the end of the day, what we seek to do as a school is for the kids who go through us, the pupils, to impact society. So in their own small way, and charity, they say, begin at home. So we hope that these little things that we do, and we have a lot of testimonies from our parents, those who are doing it in the homes. The children have their backyard gardens and they are harvesting plants, they are growing, and they are seeing, one, they appreciate the importance of work. Secondly, they are able to solve, a lot of times they nurse the seeds, they don't work. One of the skills we want our kids to have is critical thinking. So to question, why didn't it germinate? Or why a lot of them have seen that caterpillars are eating their leaves. So then they go on to research and find what is the solution. What can we do to make the plants survive? So when all is said and done, we don't want the children to go through learning, memorizing stuff, but to be able to apply the knowledge to come up with solutions that will help the school community, their homes, and Ghana as a whole.
Well, just before leaving, David Akakpo beckoned, saying he had a poem to share on the SDGs, which include ending hunger by 2030. I must admit, it was a thought-provoking one.
Time is ticking like a bomb. Why are we worried? What went wrong? No one bothers. No one cares. The world's not equal. Is that fair? Hunger and poverty. Lions waiting for prey. King of the forest with the final say. They must be stopped at all cost. We have to collaborate. All hope is not lost. Imagine if humans went out extinct. No beings with sense and none would be distinct. Must all work together at a certain degree to make sure we humans all live well indeed. The goals are important and must be followed, else a bitter pill we would have swallowed. To achieve the goals, 2030 is a deadline, and that must remain our headline. Until finally we meet our doom, and everyone lies in a tomb. No water, no food, no air. How do we exist then and there? Thank you.
Hunger is on the rise globally. About 10% of the world's population suffers from hunger. This is unfortunately due to conflict, climate, and the COVID-19 pandemic. About 150 million more people have been added to the number of malnourished persons across the world. as we commemorate Farmers' Day today, who knows, possibly encouraging young people to engage in farming can be the little steps we take to ending hunger across the world. From the McCarthy Hill School, I am Bernice Abu-Baidoo Lansah. And don't forget to grow what you eat. Bye!
Yes, we've all been encouraged to grow what we eat, and I must say that I have been challenged as well. One of these days, I'll let you into my little garden I've decided to create as a result of what I learned from these little farmers, as I choose to call them. And for you parents out there, I'm sure that you've picked a cue or two on how to encourage your children to grow what they eat. Right, it's now time to have a conversation about farming in the country. As you know, today's Farmers' Day. There have been concerns about the state of agric in this country. Joining us is Mr. Edward Karawe with the Peasant Farmers Association. Thank you so much for your time this morning, Mr. Karawe. Just your quick thoughts. I mean, there have been conversations. Benjamin said some things about agric in this country and how we call it the backbone of our economy, and yet we don't seem to see all the benefits of the investments that we've made into that sector. Talk about planting for food and jobs, rearing for food and jobs. Your quick thoughts as we commemorate the day. Well, before we bring in Mr. Karawe, we'll take a quick breather and we'll fix the line and get his thoughts. Do stay. Happy holiday to you. It's still the AM show. I'm Bernice Abu-Baidoo Lansah. Let's now have that conversation about agric in the country, even as we put a spotlight on farmers today. Edward Karawe joins us via phone. Good morning to you, Mr. Karawe. Thank you so much. And happy Farmers' Day to you.
Yeah, thank you. I welcome it. And then let me also use your medium to extend happy Farmers' Day to all the people who have been listening to us and to farmers, and then to consumers as well.
Right. What thoughts come to your mind even as we take time off today to celebrate those who put food on our table?
Come again.
I'm asking what thoughts come to your mind even as we celebrate the day?
Well, it's a day which we cherish that set aside to recognize farmers. Everybody will talk about farmers today. That is refreshing, but we wish that they can be translated into addressing the challenges of farmers.
And we do this annually. You share your concerns with us, you raise them up, and some of them get fixed. I know that it hasn't been too rosy for farmers, especially in this recent time, when we talk about the cost of fertilizer, even the cost of seedlings and all that, everything shooting up, and farmers having to increase the cost of food that eventually they sell to the consuming public. But what is that one thing you would say has been positive, at least within the last year or two, for farmers in this country?
Well, Lincoln, the day is a ritualistic day, which we do it annually, and it doesn't seem we have varied so much about the way we go about it. The challenges remain, and as I've indicated, it's just about the publication that today is a Farmers' Day, and people will know that it's today we are using to recognize farmers. Now, we also have made the day a public holiday. To that extent, those who are not going to work today and they are not farmers, they are happy. But it has a negative side. For real farmers, if you are not being celebrated today, you are not going to take an award. no farmer can be legislated to stay at home because this is the harvesting season for the entire country. Okay. And then we are also threatened by bushfires and so on. So no farmer who is not compelled to be at the celebration ground will leave his farm to go or sit at home because it has been legislated so. So the recognition part is there, that it is a farmer's day, but the benefits that go with that recognition is what farmers are yet to benefit. And this is something that we think that every year you have a theme for the celebration. We don't ensure that we actually fulfill that theme. And then the following year we get another theme. You know, it's just like we just, it's more of an academic exercise. Find and appropriate a theme that will, you know, be nice in the ears of people. Within 1 year, then you move and take another year. They should be accounting to us. You see, we should be accounting to ourselves because we do this for ourselves. That we brought about these things. You know, some years back we have eat what we grow. Today, can we say that we are eating what we are growing? We have not fulfilled that thing. Another year, you see we are talking about investing in agriculture. Today, we have to ask ourselves, have we actually invested enough in agriculture? So that the themes will have meaning. We just don't put the themes there. 1 year time, we have not fulfilled that theme, then we move to another theme. So these are things that the Farmers' Day celebration can be modified to become more relevant. Otherwise, what we are only having is the usual pageantry. After that, what next? The challenges still remain.
Mr. Karoe, my question to you was to find out if there was anything positive to talk about in the last year or two for farmers in this country. But from your response, am I safe to suggest that there's really been nothing positive and exciting for you as farmers?
No, you see, the point is, if you're a farmer in the last 2 years, for instance, if you take 2021, in 2021, farmers did not get fertilizer at the right time. And that is very critical to farmers. And if you don't get the fertilizer at the right time, and you even come and get the fertilizer late, and you apply it, you will not still get the appropriate yields. For the past 2 years, farmers have been struggling across all the crop areas. Are you talking about maize? Are you talking about rice? Are you talking about tomatoes? Are you talking about soybean? What are you talking about? It has been a very difficult period for farmers because the poultry farmers, you can see that they have something to, you know, say this is good for the past 2 years. If you take maize farmers, you can see that this has been good for them because within the last 2 years, they have been struggling even to get fertilizer. They don't get it.
Right.
If you pick crop by crop and those areas, you come to realize that the tomato farmers, they've been crying. And you go to Ada areas where they produce tomatoes, you go to Techimantia areas, all those areas, you go to the northern part where they also produce tomatoes. You come to realize that it's all about cry. You know, so I am sorry. It's not always the case that there must be good and bad. But sometimes it's not like the coin whereby if there's positive, there must be negative, or if there's negative, there must be positive.
Right.
Yeah. It has been a very difficult period for farmers.
Yeah.
If you look at those who are not even hooked on the Plant for Food and Jobs program, for instance, like the plantain farmers, what would they say is good for them? They produce and then the thing gets rotten. You see, how would those, the young farmers, when they produce, the roads are bad and they cannot carry to where it must go to, they lose. So in all these things is very difficult, and we just need to accept like that. I think sometimes we, as a people, we want to always romanticize issues, say, oh, everything is, it's okay, it's okay. When in actual fact, it's not okay. But when you don't admit that there's a serious problem, you cannot look for a serious solution for it. If you think that the problem is small, then you look for a small problem, that means solution. Yeah.
And my colleague earlier, Benjamin Akakpo, during his blunt thoughts session, gave us a fair idea of what the dwindling returns are for the agri sector. So all that you've said ties into that. If you missed it, you can watch it on Facebook. Is on our page uploaded right now. Benjamin Akakpo's blunt thoughts. So, Mr. Karowe, let's just look ahead. And you mentioned the issue of the theme for the year. Let me just bring that. This year's theme is accelerating agricultural development through value addition. This government, prior to assuming office, spoke to us about its ideas and plans for the agri sector. We've seen the planting for food and jobs, rearing for food and jobs. There is the issue of value addition, which has to do with creating factories, and we saw 1D1 have come up. We saw the Ekunfi fruit juice factory also coming up. Would you say that these are right steps in accelerating development of agriculture through value addition?
You see, certainly the value addition in the agriculture sector is minimal. It's minimal. If you take the Ekunfi, their factory and those other ones, you see that even along the line, they were not able to get raw materials for their factories. If you also see the fact that those factories are facing cheaper imports from outside the country, you can see that they are still struggling to gain their feet. So, yes, you can have it. And they are smaller factories. And once you have smaller factories and you are faced with this stiff competition from cheap imports from outside, of course, you can't grow beyond your environment. Two, the whole concept about one district, one factory. You see, how do they feed into a bigger one? Are they intermediary processing units that now process and their output becomes an input for a bigger, factory? If that is not the case, you realize that these factories cannot grow beyond, because every district, if you look at the way our districts are, we have almost the same crops, and they are mainly agro-based. So it would have been good if we put it as every region, you have a big factory, and that will mop up the raw materials from the entire region for the factory. Because if a factory is not big enough, and it may not be able to benefit from economies of scale, it may not be able to pay its workers well. So you will say you are creating jobs, but those jobs themselves are not quality jobs. Those jobs themselves are not decent jobs. So you may tickle yourself to say, oh, we are creating jobs. But when in actual fact, those jobs cannot even make people live a decent life. And that's what we have all over Accra. Everybody is running around that they are working. But look, if you look at some of the workers, they even lose. At the end of the day, they spend more than even what they earn in a day. Or they virtually, at the close of month, are left with nothing, to save. Such type of jobs are not the type of jobs that we should be thinking of and creating and promoting. We should be promoting jobs that are real, that are sustainable, and that are say that someone can live on them. So, yes, why go around and you find out that those factories are, facing very serious challenges, and their serious challenges is who picks their produce or their products, who picks them, So, and you leave them to compete in the real market with this cheap imported goods. Again, you can take rice. Look, local producers, rice producers, have not got modern quality processing plants. And because they don't have that, they are overrun by imported cheap rice. And it's all over, everywhere. If you just step to any shop, the number of different brands of rice you will get, it's worrying. How can local rice producers survive under such unbridled, unprotective market for them?
Mr. Kara, my final question to you, and I would like you to answer this in about a minute and a half if you can. Just before you came on, we shared the story of some young pupils of the McCarthy Hill School who are being encouraged to grow what they eat. In fact, they were taken through the process of nurturing their plants, sowing, nurturing, and harvesting, and the challenges they faced and how they overcame them. How do you think we can extend this idea? I mean, considering the times that we're in, to people at least planting very essential vegetables and other greens for themselves?
It's a good idea, and that is what we have to make sure that the idea grows and the idea grows. You can't continuously depend on imports for your consumption. We must eat what we grow, or we must grow what we eat. And that should not only be a slogan. That must also be a national, agenda. And if it's a national agenda, the national policies must give weight to that agenda. But there are many people who actually also eat what they grow, depending on where they find themselves. They have some small backyard garden that put their vegetables that what is they're eating. But it's not enough. A national policy will have to constrain imports and promote, large-scale production. Our major problem also is we don't also have large-scale production. And anyone who wants to invest into large-scale production sometimes are faced with constraints which they did not know before they went into the production. Because later on, government policy undermines their efforts. Because it takes time to grow a business. And for a period, the period that you are growing the business, there must be policy direction that protects the local producers.
Right.
Yeah, and when that is not there, many people lose their capital after they have invested so much into it. And that is not an incentive for people, young men, to venture into
farming. I appreciate your time here this morning. Mr. Karowe is General Secretary of the General Agricultural Workers Union, and we've been talking about farming in this country, even as we celebrate our farmers today. So what do you have to say to our farmers as we dedicate this day to them? And also, do you have any predictions or expectations for the Black Stars game against Uruguay today? Join us with your thoughts via phone and on social media. We'll get interactive right after this Tuesday. 20 minutes to the top of the hour. Thank you so much for staying on the AM show. Benjamin Akakpo joins me. We'll get interactive with you shortly. The numbers to call 0302 211 0302 211 Today we're doing the Black Stars and our farmers. Benjamin, yeah. I feel like Superwoman with my flag cape.
I know, right? Flag cape. That's a nice way to put it. It just shows that today we're going to soar.
Yay.
We're going to beat them back.
We're going to shine.
We're going to shine. I just hope they don't go and do 77 melody there today, because my problem, and I mentioned it to Kojo Brace earlier, the way they concede goals very quickly.
There's a problem in our back, and we know that. We know
Charlie.
that. Our coach knows that. We'll fix it.
It's a year shower and almost somebody.
But I was telling you the last time, if this was a Black Stars or some years ago, one goal project, Charlie, if you score one, you know that it's a done deal. Well,
anyway.
We've got Up and Down from Kumasi. Hello, Up and Down. Good to hear from you. Share your thoughts with us. Good morning.
Yeah, how are you doing?
You're doing well.
Well.
Yeah, Akakpo. Today you didn't Akakpo life, right? But anyway, we will win.
Up and Down, what do you mean?
The last time you wore the jersey, you had a black shirt.
I heard it was Up and Down.
Up and Down, any predictions for the game? Any predictions?
Yeah, 2-1 against Uruguay.
Great. Thank you so much for calling us. Do you have a message for our farmers?
And I also wish Ghanaian farmers the best. They should keep on doing their best to feed Mother Ghana and the rest of the world. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much, Up and Down from Kumasi. Benjamin, but your shirt was nice.
Yours is lovely too.
Yeah, Woodine, like Ketsi Woodine. This is very, very
Woodine has been
nice.
gracious to us, giving us these lovely outfits, all in the spirit of, Ghana at the World Cup. Today we must deliver, and moving from there, do you know why I want us to like thrash Uruguay today? You know why?
No, tell me.
Because if we net about 3-4 goals, and if we've got the permutations, if this and that,
you know what?
And if the South Koreans beat Portugal, which is what I'm praying for,
okay,
we could top the group like Morocco has done with 7 points, but we would have 6 points, but still top the group and avoid a certain. It's not that we can't beat them, but I would rather we didn't meet them now.
You want to meet them in the final. All right. Michael is calling us from Alavanyo. Hello, Michael. How's Alavanyo?
Alavanyo is fine.
Great. Let's hear you. What do you have to share with us?
Yes. It's Black Stars versus Uruguay today.
Yeah.
And I'm going all out for Black Stars. It's a must-win game.
Yes, any predictions?
We are going to beat Uruguay by a difference of 2 goals.
Okay.
Can be 3-1, can be 2-0.
Can be 6-4. All you want is a difference of 2 goals.
The margin is going to be 2.
Okay, great.
And with the team, football is largely played at the midfield. I want the midfield to be very, very, very enterprising. If the attack is not clicking, the midfield should cause them to action. They should send the balls to the empty spaces. If 1-2 passes is gone up and they didn't get it, it will cause them to move. But if they hang on the ball looking for people to move to the right spaces before they send the ball, it doesn't help. They should force them to move to the right positions. They should use the wing very, very, very effectively to our advantage. And I hope victory is on our way coming.
Right. Fingers crossed. We definitely must win this. Thank you so much, Michael from Alavanyo.
We must win it. We don't have an option.
We don't have an option. No draw.
Because if we don't, and if the other matches don't go well, it could be very bad for us.
Because we shouldn't forget that Uruguay drew against South
Uruguay
Korea.
and South Korea still have a striking chance.
Yes.
At our spot.
So it's down to the last minute, like it happened in the game with Germany. I mean, I felt so sad for Germany because even though they won their game and they really fought, they pushed, they still lost because just around the time they were winning their game, Japan was dealing with Spain.
Yeah.
But then again, you'd ask the question.
And Japan actually topped the group.
Yeah, but that goal.
No one really saw that coming.
Goal, was it a goal?
So I didn't watch that match.
Okay, but did you
I
see
cannot.
on social media how the ball went over the line and yet VAR says it was still in
Did
play?
you see the first penalty against us versus Ronaldo? It is what it is.
Well, Arnold from Takrade is our next caller. Good morning, Arnold. Oh, too bad we lost Arnold. Sorry about that. You can call us again and share your thoughts with us. We're talking about that game against Uruguay. I know some of you have heard Luis Suarez's response. When he was asked about,
we know the Ghana team. We've beaten them before. We'll beat them again.
He doesn't owe us an apology. He said he was penalized for his actions. So that's that. We missed our penalty. We should deal with that.
In a way, he has a point.
But in the spirit,
the
spirit of sportsmanship.
No, it was up to Asamoah to score. He didn't.
But do you know that if that goal or if that game was being played today,
VAR would have determined it was a goal because maybe not the full circumference of the ball. That I don't know. We're thinking along the same.
Well, Dauda is joining us from Kumasi. Hello, Dauda. Let's hear you.
Hello, madam.
Good morning.
Good morning to you all.
Good morning. Any predictions?
Yeah, I am hoping for a straight win for the Black Stars, but we should also understand that either way, it's going to be a do or die affair for either team. If Uruguay should win, they are knocking the Black Stars out. If the Black Stars should win, or let's just hope even a draw does it for us, we are also going to knock them out. So either way, it's going to be a revenge long overdue.
Yeah.
So, Black Stars.
Right. Thank you so much, Dauda from Kumasi.
Well, if the Uruguayans beat us, it wouldn't be revenge. It would be.
That will be painful.
It would be a repetition of.
That will be painful.
Yeah.
That will be
the agony.
That will be painful. But here's what I say. I think the boys should relax. I'm already having butterflies just thinking about the
no. Today we are cool, calm, we are collected.
Yeah, but
we're ice cold, poker face. Going to deal with them.
And then you're like, but I think the guys should relax. I watch tennis a lot. And for most of the players that I love, it's when they sometimes want it so badly, they overdo it. And they're missing their targets, they're going over the lines. I just think that we should play our very best, but we shouldn't be too aggressive because in there we could overdo things.
You know, today it will have to be a mix of everything. They shouldn't focus on revenge because, like I've said, when you're too aggressive for something, sometimes you get sloppy.
Yeah.
But the good thing, Andre has said that, look, he is the only person who has survived from that period, who is still playing now, okay? The rest of the team, they didn't witness that period, and he's just hoping that they'll get themselves. In other words, the whole bit about revenge, that's not what they're focusing on. They're just going to play to qualify to the next stage.
Right, we have our last caller from Agbona Aminfi.
Interesting name.
Hello, good to hear you.
Hello, good morning.
Right, Panaska, good morning.
Panaska, do you play football? Is that your nickname or your football name or something?
That's just my nickname.
Okay. Okay, all right. Go ahead, Panaska.
Okay, we Ghanaians are really anticipating to just have a draw or even win and then progress to the next stage of the competition or the tournament. But then the Uruguays too are also very serious to win as well and progress. You and I know very well that Suarez and then the Cavani, the Nunes and then are also very serious to progress. But we are just hoping that we're going to have a great news this afternoon. Yes, because the Black Stars are also very determined, very, very, very serious. Because watching their training last night and then what's coming from the training ground, they are hoping that the Black Stars, at least a draw, a 1-1 draw or goalless draw, would help the Black Stars to progress.
Thank you so much, Panaska. Panaska is our final caller. We're quickly wrapping up our conversation here with you this Farmers' Day. But we'd like you to know that you can buy your 3 months or 2 months HD Plus subscription on your HD Plus decoder this football season and simply dial *844*8# to enter the HD Plus Oricodo Double promo. There are 1,700 rewards to be won, including trips for 3 couples to Dubai in December, 65-inch TVs, household appliances, and many more. The promo is valid from now till 5th of December 2022. And the most loved and exciting kids cooking show on Joy Prime, Big Chef, is finally coming to an end as we journey to the finale. Contestants have displayed their exceptional culinary skills in the last 11 weeks of the competition. We started with 14 and now we are down to the big 6. Adjoa, Amma, Fidelia, Aram, Prince and Laura. Vote for your favorite by dialing *711 *60# and follow the prompt. Who wins Big Chef Season 2? Well, remember, your vote makes 40%. So vote as many times as you can. Catch the finale of Big Chef on Sunday, this Sunday, the 4th of December 2022 at 5 p.m. on Joy Prime. Big Chef is kindly brought to you by Fortune Rice, Vital Sunflower Oil, Indomie, Top Choco, Flora Tissues, Low Price Masters, Sankofa Natural Spices, City Blood Tonic, and Perk Biscuits. And before we go, Benjamin?
Well, every kind word that you receive today is a reminder of how much we all love, respect, and admire you. May your happiness be as everlasting as the love you possess for each other. Happy birthday, Mr. and Mrs. Dr. Ba Nyako from Kofi Nyako. That's a lovely one. I love the way it was framed.
Birthday together.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Benjamin,
Anyway,
when is your birthday again?
The 3rd of March.
Okay, please, if you're 3rd of March, all the ladies, just send me a message.
All the ladies. All the ladies.
We're going to
should
do
we go?
something special
All the
for
single
Benjamin.
ladies. All the single ladies.
All the single ladies. All right. Thank you so much for making time. We have a special package for you before news desk takes over at 10. But from Benjamin and myself, it's happy holiday to all of you. Please take care. Have fun, but please don't drink and drive. God willing, we are back on Monday with another exciting show for you. Thank you.